Something's happened to the resize of the browser too. Welcome to the Out There channel. Live stream 460. We finally got there. Although something's going crazy here with the browser.
I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love, I'm hiding,
I got no CPU.
I'm loving,
Why?
I'm finding love.
Let the weight control your body.
Oh, we'll just have to wait for it to catch up. The men in black are busy today, I think.
I'm searching, I'm loving.
Another batch of new problems struck today that I've never had before. So what's it doing? My browser here control thing is locked up. So let's refresh it. See how it goes. Never ending. There we go. Alright, let's decide to play ball now. Good to be back, so it should be. Okay, I think it might be working. Should be top chat or all chat? Live chat we want, don't we? I don't know. What's that do? Censorship, I guess. Yeah, top chat maybe. So
I need to grab the YouTube link.
I'm not send it to you on Discord.
No, that's okay. You can find it.
So we got Robert Farmy here as usual, and we've also got Michael joining us. He's going to talk about his alien encounters, I guess. So yeah, there he is. What are we doing, Robert?
Well, we have Michael Kameron with us, and I don't know how you like to be introduced as an experiencer or an abductee, or does it really matter?
Doesn't really matter, does it, really?
No. And I suppose best place is to start at the beginning. Where did it all start?
Well, for me, I grew up in London, and my first experiences happened at a very young age. One of the stories that you know, Rob, is basically at 4 years old with my brother, who's 2 years older than me. We were. I grew up in a schoolhouse, in a Roman Catholic setting, and I lived in the grounds of this school. And so we were out playing one day, and we saw in the sky one of the classical, is the disc-shaped craft up in the sky. We're missing time, and then we went and told our parents, and then a little while later, just a little short while after that, I had again with my brother, I had another experience that when I was in the school itself, it was in the summer holidays, so there was no one in the school. My dad was basically taking a break from his work, and we were out playing in the school, hide and seek. My brother sees something unusual in between, looking through two doors into the hall, where the hall is, where they do PE, physical training. And we see what would be like, I guess, like a tall white grey now. I mean, back then, when I was growing up, there was no cameras to capture anything on. So again, we went and told our parents what we'd see. So there's this type of phenomenon or strangeness went on throughout my life. It still continues to this day.
Yeah. So your brother was involved in this as well.
Yeah, and I think before I was born, I think he may have been an abductee, because as a very, when he was very young, my parents told me the story that he was on the beach with them, and there was a lot of people about, and suddenly he just disappeared. He vanished. The police were involved, and they were looking for him for hours and hours until it was dark, and then suddenly he appeared again from nowhere, and he had no memory where he'd been. But I don't know much about that story, but I think there are signs that it may have been something related to that, because of the unusual activity that was to plague my household later on.
Wow. So your brother's how many years older than you?
2 years.
He's 2 years older than you. Does he talk about this at all today?
Well, no. I don't have a really close relationship with him now, but and he lives, where I live, Robert. So I live in, Somerset, in the southwest of England, and he lives in London still. But it's only recently that I've got to speak to him, and I just said to him, "Do you remember when we were children and we saw?" And he finished my sentence, and he said that object in the sky and that strange creature inside the school, and I said, yeah. And he says, yeah, I've never forgotten it, but I don't think he just doesn't talk about it.
But at least you've got some kind of backup for your story. Not that you need him to come forward, but at least that helps you a little bit, I'm sure, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I've got two older brothers than us, and they remember it being spoken about by our parents when we were children, and and as we were growing up into teenagers. So it was something that was discussed at that time as well. And my parents as well. My dad had paranormal experiences. My mum, I believe, was an abductee because of what some of the stories she told me about when she was. When she was growing, or when she was evacuated during the war, she was evacuated to, where the SAS base is, basically. Hereford.
Hereford, yes.
That's right. And she woke up in the middle of the night, and she sees something strange in the dark at the end of the bed. It had big black eyes, and the next thing she knew, it was the morning time.
Okay.
So, but
did you draw any pictures of? Oh, sorry. Did you draw any pictures of any of this at all?
Well, I'm writing a book, Paul, about my experiences, which I hope to be published next year. So I've recorded from the age of 4 to 17. It'll be a volume 1. There'll be a volume 2, 3, 4, and 5. Going through basically different times of my life in different areas where I again encountered this type of phenomenon. So and that book will have pictures in and also photographs of more or less the area where I grew up in London, to pinpoint those, where I see these craft or witnessed these beings.
Mm. What were the craft type exactly? I know you said disc. Did you get a good close look, or? Well,
we had, from my own memories of it, it would be like I guess a typical daylight disc. The only problem with that is the only unusual thing about that, it was in broad daylight. In that area of London when I was growing up, it was very busy. So I don't know at the time if, anyone else had seen, a craft like that. It's something I'm looking into now, going back, looking into records and to see if there was anything reported at that time.
That's a good idea, a newspaper search.
Yeah.
Have you got anybody to help you with that kind of thing?
No, not at the moment. No.
Yeah.
I'll just do it myself, really.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Do you remember the precise date? Obviously, that's going to be difficult if you were a child, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a good idea when it was.
A good idea. Okay, that helps.
A good idea. And what sort of, it would have been around July, August, and it would have been in the 70s. So I got a good idea. I mean, I can always ask, my brother if he remembers anything else. Yeah,
it's strangely enough in the 70s the discs were still seen quite regular. They're kind of less and less these days, but they are still about.
I mean, the area of London where I grew up, Rob, is basically, it was my house, my childhood home was on a Roman burial ground. So there was a lot of high strangeness in that area. I lived pretty close to the Tower of London. Where the crown jewels are.
Yeah.
So,
I would have thought a lot of people around the area would have seen the craft as well. In that case, it's very populated.
Yeah,
there, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. But back, it's only, I guess, it's only now that I'm talking really about this stuff. So it's been a long time for me. It's not something you speak about to anyone, is it? Really? These type of subjects.
Do you know if the UFOs hovered over the houses when they were visiting you, or did they land in a close paddock or forest?
Well, I had one of the experiences going forward. This was a little while after my dad had passed, had died. I was speaking to my mum in her room, and I mean, I do write about this in the book. And we had there was a spare bed there at the rear of the room, and I used to talk to her while she listened to the radio. I was basically laying on the bed, and it was the middle of the night. So it was really dark outside, and suddenly there was a light above the house, and I was basically paralysed on the bed. Then I raised up. I raised up off of the bed. My mum see this. She was in the room, and she see this. And I was saying in my head, I don't want to go. And I was lifted up quite a long way above the bed. And then when I was saying this, I don't know how long it went on for, maybe about 10 minutes or so. And then suddenly, when the light vanished from above the rooftop of the house, I'd suddenly come crashing down onto the bed. And I'm just like, my whole body's like almost on fire. It's like sweating and really hot. And the first thing I do once I gain, get my wits back, I basically run over to the window and look up at the sky to see where this light had come from. But there was nothing there. And it was only the next day, really, when I spoke to my mum, I asked her, what happened, what did she see? And she said that she saw the light above the house, and she saw me lifted up, and she wanted to help me, but she thought she should leave it alone and not do nothing. And she felt that she wasn't able to move. So, that was quite interesting.
So could you see through the ceiling?
Sorry, Robert?
Could you see that this light, this object through the ceiling?
No. Where I was laying on the bed, I could see, from where I was, I could see basically there was windows just on the side of me, and I could see a really bright light, which basically covered the whole of that.
I see.
And I was able to see.
What colour was the light?
Sorry?
What colour was the light?
It was white.
White, yeah.
A white light, yeah. It was just
like your house there, Robert. He looks like he's been lifted up by a UFO in his camera there, doesn't he? Hey, Robert, say something.
Yeah,
Robert,
I'm talking.
There you go. Look, he's in a UFO. I tell you.
Yeah. No, it's that's like 2,600 but blooming bulb I've got there. Like kind of,
That's what I mean. You never know when you're going to get abducted because you're in a house of light.
No, I wouldn't be able to tell. It's to power these globes that I have, which you've seen before. They won't like move if you normal type.
Yeah, sorry, Michael. I just see, I do tease Robert a few times.
You should do, yeah. Right?
Yeah, I keep poking and poke the beer, the Welsh beer.
Michael, it's interesting that your brother and your mother were mixed up in this as well, because often the case, isn't it? It's a kind of hereditary thing. And it must be kind of a concern that if you had children, it's very likely to happen to them. Something you've obviously thought about at some stage.
Yeah, I mean, it tends to follow people, I guess, in families. I mean, when I was growing up, there was no media about this stuff. I didn't have access to those type of books, and so there was didn't watch telly much really at that time. I mean, I grew up in a certain environment, was quite strict. But so when I was having these things, it was quite a terrifying event really in my childhood. The house that I grew up in, it had poltergeist activity. People now, researchers, and they talk about this connection between the paranormal and this type of phenomena. And, it's something, as you know, Robert, people are looking into now.
Yeah.
There's a connection between the two.
So at this stage now, had you seen any manifestation of an entity, a being of any type, or was it just light and missing time and UFO sightings?
Well, after me and my brother, we saw that entity, what was in the school building, excuse me. A short while after that, whilst I was in the house alone, my parents were in the garage, lay on the floor, a tiled floor. And my two older brothers, who were a lot older than me and my other brother, they were out, and my parents were in the garage, lay on this floor. And my brother, who I was talking about, was in there with them. And I had my first encounter with the infamous MIBs. Back then, I didn't know what the hell they were. But I was there, and I was doing something in the kitchen, and I suddenly become quite agitated, afraid, and then looking from the side of my eyes, I was able to see this tall figure just standing there, just watching me, and looking as they do now, classically dressed in the the famous black uniforms with the dark glasses. And immediately, I was quite frightened. I was only young, and I was quite frightened. And there was no one else.
Moving.
Ooh,
he's lost
and
internet.
When I was able to move, I was paralysed.
Okay.
We lost a couple of minutes there.
Couple of seconds.
Yeah, you're talking about the Men in Black, and that sort of broke up there. And we get this often. There's no conspiracy. Carry on.
But when you talk about Men in Black, there's generally two types. There's those people who are just intelligence officers that pay you a visit, and they want to know what's been happening. You've seen the UFOs, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They think you might be seen something sensitive, and, they kind of advise you not to speak. But there's also the other type, which is more like an entity, something that's not really human. Is that the impression you got from this?
Well, at the time, I didn't know what the hell it was. I just wanted to get out of the house. I was really scared. I was in there on my own. But the doors in the house, the windows were all closed. I ran as fast as I could to where my dad was and mum and banging on the garage door. And the dad come out and he searched the house, and all the windows were closed. There was none broken. For an intruder, that's what you're looking for, really. And the front door was basically bolted from the inside, and there was a latch across it. So this, whatever it was, had just vanished, and and it was only later on, a lot later on for me, that I was able to, discover that's what it may have been. Again, it's you know, when I was growing up, the closest I got to anything to do with anything like that was more in the paranormal, which was, you know, just about ghosts.
Well, it could have been paranormal. They still
Sorry?
could have been paranormal. It's what they call the hat men. That wear the old suits and the hats, and then you often see it walk through the house. My sister had something similar, but we thought it might be Grandpa. He used to wear the hat and suit back in those days, 1940s, right? And they thought maybe it was him walking through, keeping an eye on her. But yeah, the crossover between paranormal and aliens is there for sure, and often I think you get the paranormal first and then the UFO stuff happens. Maybe because they're tracking down stuff that's broken through into from their universe or whatever dimension, if you want to call it, into ours, and they're just making sure that they're taken back out, you know. Just imagine if you had, as I've talked to Robert before, a creature that's got a virus called C19 on it that's suddenly broke into our dimension and started spreading something new that's going to wipe out the planet. Obviously, they've got to come back here and try and solve the situation, right? So it's all sorts of scenarios to think about in the in the UFO field. I was going to say computer field because I'm a computer man, but technology obviously will help us solve it. Hopefully, capture evidence, and the cameras are getting better and better too. And the technology on that side of things with the color night vision we've got now. So, have you ever tried to capture any of this on any cameras, or you can't afford that yet? I guess a bit like myself.
I think, but, you know, I was talking to Robert about this. The thing with that is, you know, I've spoken to some paranormal investigators. The paranormal investigations are very much different to the phenomena of alien abduction. You often find with those who try to capture any entities in the bedroom, they don't often have much success. You often find the equipment is interfered with,
locked up or static or whatever.
Because the intelligence behind this often know that you're using that type of equipment. It's different if with a spirit, you know, or a haunting. It's a lot different. They seem to want to be seen, but you know, with abductions, a lot, like Robert was saying last week, you know, the intelligence behind this, for me, are very insidious. You know, they take you in the middle of the night, mostly in isolated spots. There's not many people around. You know, your body's paralyzed. You know, these are not positive beings. Positive beings, sentient beings, wouldn't do that. You wouldn't need to.
No, I agree.
That's just my fix on it. You know, everyone's different. You know, so that's not for me to take, you know, away anyone else's thunder. That's just my own personal.
It might be like what I said to Robert in the past, that the more insectoid type creatures that sort of follow, you know, a routine in life, you know, to keep the economy going. You might be just like part of the workload, right? They don't have any feelings or sympathy. They just know they've been told to go and get you, take some blood sample and then return you, you know, and that's all they know. They'll do it any way they want.
With the greys, you know, the greys are considered to have a hive mind like an insect. So it's a bit like an artificial intelligence, you know, and they follow that through to do what they need to do, I guess.
Yeah. You start to see patterns, you see, eventually, and the more you can document it or try to document it or try to outsmart them is the key, I think. I think we can get evidence, you just got to just outsmart them. So if they can actually read your brain somehow and actually know that you've set up a camera, they're going to disable it, right? So really you need a third party that can go to your house, set up something and do something different that they're not expecting, and then you might catch them. So I've talked about this with Earl Grey, you know, about setting up a camera on a car parked across the road and stuff like that, or get the neighbours in a tree or something like this where they're not expecting it. And now they've got cameras that can go 5G and just stream it non-stop, and then you can keep an eye on it all the time, right? So yeah, I think it's possible.
I think you're still going to have problems with that. The greys are almost certainly like fourth dimensional entities. So, you know, when you're dealing with dimensions and you know, almost like quantum physics, it's a lot different to having that sort of third dimensional thinking. You know, I do a lot of out of body traveling, and I don't know if you've encountered that. And there are a lot of abductions that take place outside of the body rather than inside the body. You often see a lot of experiences or abductees have this type of they get taken in this type of way. I know that happens because it's happened to me throughout my life. So it is, you know, when you're dealing with removing your consciousness from your body and moving outside of it. So you know, it's possible to do that, and it's probably easier to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how easily we're going to fool them by third-party devices or improved technology, because I think they're always one step ahead. But you were correct, Paul, I believe, when you said patterns are starting to emerge, especially with the Jays. They've been seen so many times now, and I don't know a single person that's ever seen any genitalia on one of these creatures. I think there's some kind of AI. I don't know, that's only wild speculation on my behalf, but it's based on witness testimony, that's all.
Well, this is why we're in this field. We're all getting together, communicating and seeing the connections, and then trying to come up with solutions of where we can get the evidence, because people think you're nutty otherwise.
I mean, that's not to say, though, Paul, you know what you're saying. It's not to say that it can't be done. I do believe, you know, there's always a way through. Yeah. You know, again, it's about gathering this evidence, having the skill sets to deal with it. And, you know, when we do know that they make mistakes. So they're not entirely, you know... and
the technology does go wrong, for sure.
Well, we know that they make mistakes as well. When they do their abductions, there are certain mistakes being made.
Oh, yeah,
especially, you know, you've got testimonies of people being taken in cars and then suddenly they're driving in the wrong direction. You know, if you're trying to conceal something, at least get that right.
Plus they've tried to levitate a certain guy through the ceiling, and it went wrong, and he got stuck in the ceiling and it fell down onto the bed, and he had to go to the hospital to get the stitches because it ripped off the skin. Lucky enough it didn't go too far up at the time, else it may have been even worse, but
how you explain that to the doctors, really.
Well, that's true.
It's best to leave that bit out. Otherwise, you know, they come with the white coats, you know.
No, he probably said the ceiling panel collapsed in the bedroom and cut his back or something. You know, there's a way to make excuses up for the medical field. I think he got 14 stitches or something anyway. But and they got MUFON's, not MUFON. But is it Bud Hopkins and his mate Peter Robinson has that case still open, still ongoing abductee. That's how they sort of keep it close to their hearts. So that evidence there would have been like smoking gun evidence that To the Stars could have used, and also the Navy or whatever. You know, I'm pretty sure they know a lot more that's going on than they're revealing, and. I think there's a wee bit of hokey pokey going on again with all this stuff, you know, with Lou and all that. Recently, someone said that he's come out that he's actually a remote viewer for the government now or something. So, and he gets worse the more I hear about Lou now. So, I just hope it's all wrong information.
Let's not get too far away here. So, basically, Michael, what is the next part of the story then after the childhood thing? How about when you read?
Well, going forward into other areas, the 80s and 90s, I did at one time. I did try to have, I know, people are a little bit wary of it, but tried to have regression, or tried to. I was looking at the time when I was about 17. I was looking for answers. I was looking for, what is this? What's going on with me? Why am I having this happening to me? And I was looking then for that type of literature when I could. I couldn't find anything really on that until very, very later on. And I didn't have anyone around me that I could talk to about that stuff. There was who do you go to for that type of thing? But there was people that I grew up with. They wasn't. They wasn't familiar with that. If I ever spoke about something like that, I'd end up in a padded cell. So
lucky you got the internet now.
At one time, I did try to reach out to therapists, like hypnotherapists, but they told me that I was mad. They literally told me that I was crazy, and they didn't believe in that sort of thing. And I did contact Bufora later on in the 90s, and the researcher and investigator Jenny Reynolds.
Yes.
She put me in touch with, I was reaching out to her, and she was busy at the time, and she put me in touch with a gentleman called Lucian Morgan.
Okay.
And do you know him, Robert?
No, the name rings a bell. That's all. I've seen his name pop up.
Yeah, and he's a professional hypnotherapist. Really, he's supposed to be really good. And I didn't know at the time why they put me in touch with him, but because I remember going with him, and he brought me into his like a flat. I went up some stairs, and it was an office, and he was asking me about my experiences, why I contacted them, and so forth. And I remember him coming out of the room, and he had, I think it was like 10 brown envelopes that were sealed, and he wanted me to do an ESP test. And he thought I cheated because I got all 10 of them right. And I remember him being a little bit pissed off with me for some reason. But there was no way. He was in front of me when I was looking at these envelopes, and I just knew what was in those envelopes. And I didn't really know how I knew. So I was telling
I had the same experience, actually. Yeah, I did that, and I got I did the ESP stuff and got 97 cards right out of 100, so which is abnormal, right?
I'm just glad you didn't get me to bend spoons.
Yeah.
Okay, so did he actually this Jenny Randall's person? Did he actually perform regression on you?
No, she was busy at the time, and she was obviously doing, at that time I think she was more active with Bufora. I have contacted her recently, but I've not got a reply yet because I know she's set up some sort of publishing business for new authors of this type of phenomena, high strangeness. Okay. So it's something I was looking at contacting her about. But at the time, though, I thought it was unusual that I had this, being put in touch with this man who was working or voluntary working for Bufora.
Yeah.
But it didn't get me very far, he went away with his research, his findings on me, and nothing ever happened after that. No one ever got back to me. He was quite surprised that I passed his test.
Because Jenny did set up regression for Alan Godfrey, and she did help him write his book as well.
Who is that, Robert?
Alan Godfrey. Yorkshire.
Yeah, the Pennine
Yeah.
Mysteries, wasn't it?
It was.
Or Mystery. It was that, wasn't it?
It was
That's the
North.
first
It was
book,
North
wasn't it?
Yorkshire.
Yeah, that's
He
it.
encountered the craft on the road, and he contacted Jenny Randalls about the sighting.
Hmm.
And Jenny found them a hypnotist. He went and did regression, and that revealed a heck of a lot. Whether they were false memories or not, none of us will ever know. But it opened up a can of worms, basically.
Well, you know, that a lot of the experiences that, you know, abductees have as well is the, you know, with the memories.
Yeah.
You know, you have different memories. They use, you know, it's almost like using holographic technology to set up a specific type of scenery, maybe taking images from your memories.
Interesting.
I think you got to be careful who you contact in the contactee field, though. There's a lot of cracks out there.
Careful. It's a minefield. You got to be extremely careful.
I mean, you know,
Contact in desert rings a bell.
Yeah.
Who's that? Sorry.
Contact in the desert rings a bell for a lot of bad people.
That's just a conference. Forget about that. It's not relevant.
There's a lot of people pushing their books there, though, and crazy stories.
I know that. Yes, we know that. Yeah.
Well, you know, we do. You know, the trouble is with that. There are the genuine people, and there's a lot of people here that are not genuine. There's a lot of people here that are just looking for whatever, and
attention.
They make exactly, but you know, they make it worse for us. I mean, as I was saying to Robert the other day,
right.
you know, you get people that actually want to be abducted. That's absurd. It's absolutely crazy. You wouldn't want to be in that type of situation because it's so terrifying, especially as a child. And you know, I suffer with PTSD, so you know that's from my childhood, and it's ongoing.
I think if it didn't happen in your childhood, but later on as an adult, then it may be different for you. Because then you want to be abducted, and then you're more matured, so you can actually communicate with them and maybe make a better situation out of it and actually find the answers that you're after. But as kids, it's going to be terrifying. It's like a ghost in your bedroom, isn't it? So, again, those ones that want to be contacted, a bit like Dr. Greer type, you know, that more mature. You get some breakup on your Wi-Fi there. Are you there, Michael?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, that's come right now.
I mean, the whole process of a child being abducted, it's very much, it is a case of abuse as well.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
You know, and like we were saying, we were talking about, Robert, you know, about, you know, if we were to abduct anyone, we'd go to prison, and we, you know, to add that onto that, they're basically entering your private premises, so it's like breaking an entry, so you get done for burglary and kidnapping.
Yeah.
If that was the case, but obviously that doesn't happen, obviously. But
So, was there actually any breaks where you had some peace from this, or was it always
every week?
It happened at regular intervals all through your life, or did you go maybe several years at one point thinking that no?
I believe there are breaks. There were breaks for me, and I believe when you look at other abductee stories, you often find that there are breaks from being a child, and I think it's to allow you to mature more, and I think there's a reason for that as well. But I don't think it's a very good reason. It's all, you know, there were a lot of the time for me, I have this, you know, I have high strangeness in my life all the time. It doesn't go away. It's just there, really. And that could be the paranormal, but a lot of it is to do with the, you know, it's for me abduction related, really. And sometimes to do with entity attacks at night. You know, I had without saying here, maybe to Robert later on, I had something happen to me last night where I had 4 different attacks. I was speaking to somebody in our group, Robert, about it, and it was quite terrifying at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've had a creature jump on the back of me, and it's not there, in a sealed room. So
exactly,
I could relate.
it's, it takes its toll on you. I mean, I'm writing the book. I was writing for hours today, 10 hours almost, and writing this bloody book, and then but you do feel this stuff. It just stays with you. I mean, I'm at this age now, and I can't turn my light off at night. I have to sleep with a light on. Can you believe that? And it's because I'm frightened of turning the lights out. I'm not ashamed to say it, but that goes back to my experiences that I think that are replaying themselves in my head somewhere in me from my childhood that have never gone away as a teenager, because I experienced such terror as a child with this type of phenomena. I couldn't tell anyone. There was no one that could tell. It was just ongoing, and there was nowhere I could go. There was no one I could tell. I didn't know, what to do with it. But now, if I turn the light off now, I will always have something happen to me. And that will be, I've got scars on my body from things that I've had. I can't explain them. I've gone to the hospital with them, and I had a sodding hole in my leg, in my on my left thigh. I've still got the scar there from that, so I don't have no memory of it. But I remember everything leading up to it. But whatever happened to me at that time, I have no memory of that. But I went to, at one time it was so bad, you could put I could put my thumb in the hole where I had a really a burn mark there. And then 2 weeks later, I had a second one just below that, the same, but less. Did you take
any photographs of this stuff at all?
I'll put that in my book,
All right.
So, and like with all abductees, you get things, but you have to, have a certain amount of common sense, because you can pick up things during the day when you're moving around, and you might get a bruise. So not every bruise is going to be an abduction. But certainly, but there are classical signs of these type of marks.
So how many abductions in your life do you think you've had now?
Well, I think I've had a lot more than what I remember, to be honest with you. And I, it's like I was saying about my mum, I believe she was an abductee, and it's very often reported that at least one member of your parents is an abductee or have had abductee-related experiences. But, back then, my parents wouldn't have known anything about that. They may have passed it off as a bad dream or just a fantasy or something, But as we've gone through the decades and through our own research, and as you said, Paul, with the uprising of technology, it presents us with a better chance of gathering better evidence. And also with, like Robert, the investigations, and putting together a bigger picture. But, I believe there's probably lots of people that have had these experiences, didn't know what they were, and they've probably, have passed over now, for death.
So how many times do you remember seeing aliens in that case? I'll narrow it down.
Well, in volume 2 of my book, in volume 2, of the second book, should I say, I'll report, the experiences I had were more than coming into contact with the greys, so through the bedroom contacts and being able to see and touch them when you're being taken. So I've had quite a few of them now, but for me it is mostly the greys that I've had contacts with.
Yeah, but you've got a number, like at least 30 times you can recall them?
I wouldn't say really. I mean, again, I've got a lot of, I would say, experiences, but again, there's gaps in my memories. So, it would be purely speculation. Unless I get that figure myself, I won't probably say that.
Do you write it down every time?
Because
do you write down the experience? Do you write down all your experience the next day so you can remember it?
Yeah, I've
Fresh?
got a journal. You
Right,
know, as a
okay.
writer, you should always do that anyway. But and it's
That's,
obviously material you can use in the book.
yeah.
So but I don't say I've had so many
Um,
experiences now, but
what
I
did the
don't say
alien
that I know what they are.
skin? What did the alien skin feel like? Do you remember anything like that?
Sorry.
What did the alien skin feel like to you?
Their skin.
Yeah.
When
You said you
I
touched
first,
them.
yeah, that's right. When I first touched their hands, to me at the time when you're thinking that, it's feels very much like what the skin of a dolphin would feel like. It's very smooth. It's that type of I can't really articulate it to you, but unless you feel that, if anybody's touched a dolphin or
Right.
a whale or something like that, that's how it felt to me. Maybe it feels different for somebody else, but
Right.
that's how when I was
What
when I
color was the
touched.
skin exactly? Was it grey or did it have different colors? Do
Well,
you
I've
remember?
experienced mostly the grey types, but I have had a contact at one time with the the entity, whatever it was, that the best-selling author Whitley Strieber encountered.
Hmm.
So that very type of desert type, skin,
Right.
sort of tan, I guess, skin.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I've experienced one like that.
Right.
Um, so
So what's the average height of the greys that you've seen? I hear they come in different sizes
I would
sometimes.
say probably between 5 foot and 7 foot. For the one that me and my brother see in the school itself, that was a very that would have been 7 foot probably.
Right. So that's a
It was
tall
very
grey then. Yep.
yeah, it was very skinny with the large
Mm.
head, and it had long spindly arms, and
Like
ones
Close
that I've
Encounters
touched of
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like the Close Encounter movie.
Yeah, similar to that, but just
Yeah.
different with the eyes. The eyes are obviously bigger.
Yeah. The eyes are
Um,
different. Yeah.
I mean, but when
Yeah.
I'm writing about it in the book, the narrative in the book is much more, I'm talking about it now, but
Yeah.
it's different with the words that I'm writing down. There's a lot more detail in it.
Is it telepathic communication you have with them at all, or is it verbal, or
I would
both?
guess it's probably, no, I guess it's in the mind, really. You never see their mouths really move. I mean, I've
No.
seen, I think, one or two cases where they said the mouths have moved, but, for
Right.
mostly, I think it's in the head.
Right. You can see the type of
Um,
questions I ask. I ask detailed type questions. I know
I
Rob
like,
probably
the
wants to
thing is,
ask
I
you a
like the
few.
question. Hmm.
Mm.
Um,
Because the alien
but the
grey I saw seemed to have self illumination. I'm not sure if it was like a. I only saw them for 10 seconds before they made me pass out. And they were doing an operation on my own bed. They didn't actually take me out of the room. And of
hmm.
course, I'm this age. It happened January 2020. So it's rare to have a first abduction spirits in 50s, I think. Mine was very unusual. But I was in contact with real investigators and contactees like yourself. And El Grey said years ago, he said, just be prepared that you may be spied on and you may have things happen to you later. And I just laughed at the time. But now it's sort of what he said is sort of coming into truth. But I've sort of dealt with it though. So I imagine like a protective shield around me because I know some of mine is paranormal and I can sense when there's a dark presence in around the house, and I know it probably has been disturbing my parents as well, although they won't admit
Hmm.
it. I'm pretty sure my mum has been being disturbed by it. One night she heard me screaming and talking to people, and fell back to sleep. Right, and that was around the time of the abduction experience that I was having. So there is some confirmation that others did experience stuff in the house. And of course, the dog. I'm not sure if you got any pets. Was dead to the world. It was deep sleep. So somehow.
Hmm.
and they can control the house. It's like they put you inside a little bubble, and no sound can escape it or enter it. But yeah, like I said, I had a big crash sound that sounded like someone slid on the roof of the house and fell off, which could have been an alien grey, who knows. And so I got up and looked around, and nothing was out of place. And I had this recording going on my smartphone. It records when there's loud sounds. And that day of recordings was all lost. I had recordings the day before and day after, but nothing on that night. So I know there's something going on. So like I said, you got to try different things that they might not be aware of. So you at least can get some sound, maybe talking, maybe what something's going on. But unfortunately, I didn't get the evidence, the big crash sound, which is a damn shame. So, like you said, they can muck around with our technology.
I'll tell you something that's strange that I had. I had when I lived in Glastonbury, for a while.
Okay.
In South
Yeah,
West.
Somerset. Yeah.
Yeah. I lived there for quite a while, and I remember moving into, just renting this house, and I was in this house, and I was with a friend, and when they went away, I said to them, "There's something will happen every time someone goes away. If I'm with somebody, something always happens to me." And then I had my iPad with me. It was in the middle of the night, and I just suddenly started taking pictures, of the ceiling around me, and when I looked at the images, there was nothing there. But in the next day, on the screensaver I had like mountains on it, like say from I think it was from North America, like Arizona or something like that. And there was like a black sort of object on the mountain, and I thought that wasn't there before. And I went back to its original picture, from where I got it from, and there was nothing on there like that. And then I was showing it to somebody, and then they were going to take a picture of it. And then when I went to show it to them, it wasn't there no more, this object. So, and it was...
Really?
And I thought, bloody hell. But I remember you saying last week, Paul, about the buzzing sounds you've heard. So
yeah, it's always in one ear as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's always in the left ear normally, but
yep, that's right.
Over a period of time, I write about this in my book. To do with these type of experiences. So my entire household at the time, when with my parents and my brothers, we all experienced this for literally something like 6 months, and then it vanished. And then after my dad had passed, it come back again, and it was only just me and my mum that was able to hear this. And the buzzing was very, very almost in your ear, really. And you think
it's really loud
it's an insect, but when you go to investigate, and it's also when you're alone that it starts to appear. And also me and my mum we could hear a lot of breathing a lot of the time, and this was also under the pillows. I heard it mine, and my mum heard it under her pillow. This strange breathing sound with a buzzing. So it's
I'm pretty sure I hear voices when I'm sleeping and stuff, and I wake up. That's why I started doing this secret recorded thing. But I haven't been finding time to actually upload it to the computer and then go through every file, because it creates one every time there's a certain sound, so you get thousands of files, right? Once I had the ringing, and I said in my head, "Not tonight, guys. I'm just too exhausted for this," and the buzzing just suddenly turned off. So they did actually probably leave me alone that night. But yeah, I'm pretty sure maybe I've had visits I don't know about still. Because I do get really tired, and I don't know what's going on. I feel really drained lately. We're putting it down to lockdown and the virus, of course, and the new meds, and because my immune system is overactive. You see, my immune system is really strange, apparently, and it's destroying my own eyes. So if I don't take the pills, I could lose my eyesight, or I could put up with the side effect of the pills making me sick, and achy joints and all that sort of business. It's really unpleasant. But yeah, are you on any medications at all yourself? I'm just wondering. Because normally I hear stories that the medications vanish sometimes when they don't want you to take it, so they can get a clean blood sample or something. You know.
I think what you find as well that goes on with a lot of abductees, there's lots of it's very much keeping you isolated, keeping you away from other people. Really. There's normally a lot of interference in that way.
Yeah.
But there's not, as me and Robert were saying, there's not a lot of places that abductees can go to. Really, it's a very lonely path. Really, you're basically you're living two lives. Really, the life you present to everyone else around you, but at the same time you're having these experiences happening to you, and it's for me, writing about it has been very healing. There's a lot of triggers that come up, emotional triggers, and sometimes horrific memories from what you've had. And these may never go. May never go away, but it's how you deal with them really at the time.
But you inadvertently made another good point there. You've changed location a few times, but that hasn't stopped the phenomenon happening, has it?
Well, in my book, I put down, that we have haunted houses, but, could you be haunted as well as a person?
Yeah.
By this, so it's, it's following you basically around.
Yeah.
And I did my own studies and my own investigations, really, but about my own stuff. But, you're no nearer to the truth, really. And there's so many different possibilities out there, what it could be. Everyone's got their own little, piece of the picture or what it could be.
Yeah. If you want to
sometimes when you're, sometimes when you're investigating things, you think you've got a nice juicy bit of, a piece of the puzzle, and then suddenly something comes and changes all that.
There's one question that I didn't pick up. I remember the first interview that we did together on the Invited show. Do you ever recall being on a craft and seeing any kind of instruments or the inside of a craft at any stage?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I have been in craft, and I have been on tables, examination tables, but again, you see, I would need to have full regression for that. I just have blocks in my memory, so that really, when you're writing about it, especially, there's not enough detail there to put down about it. There's gaps in the memory. What we're talking about. It's like there's no sort of beginning and no end. You could be in the middle of something, and there's just not enough pieces. But I do have memories of that, but not enough to form a bigger picture.
So what you see basically is like flashbacks, nothing more.
Yeah, or memories. You do have flashbacks.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I'm sure they are.
And obviously you can have triggers. And things can trigger you, but sometimes triggering can be good because it can force. It can open up a memory for you.
How many times has family members seen you abducted?
I don't think they've seen many times. They've seen me really. I mean, a lot of the time as a child, it was a case of there was a lot of things happening to me. At one time, when I was growing up, I was angry because I was thinking to myself, these experiences are happening to me. Surely you would know about it. My thoughts from my parents. Why would you let this happen? When I'm screaming out for you to come and get me, why didn't you never turn up? Why didn't you ever come? So, these are things as an abductee you work through. You get all these type of emotions coming up because you're trying to understand it. People say, "Oh, you think you're special." Well, not to me, but they do. I've heard stories, and You think you're
Yeah,
special, and you're,
I think it's like
but you're not special.
20% see their kids being dragged off by the
Yeah.
aliens, like down the hallway or whatever, and they
No,
can't do a
it's a
thing
lot
about
less
it.
than 20%. Paul,
But-
it's more like 0.5%. There's not many
No, I
cases.
don't think
It's,
so. I'd have to go back to my research on that, but
well, 20% of times you're saying people have actually seen that person being taken away by an alien. No.
It's very rare.
no, 20%
have-
of all cases, I mean. But
Yeah.
has any of them happened during the day? Because you're talking about nighttime experiences mostly here.
Yeah, well, the ones, I can't prove it at the moment, but the ones that we had, me and my brother had, I believe they could have been daylight abductions.
Right.
But because we had missing time. So, sometimes I say to people, when they see a light in the sky, say it is one, when you've got someone who's been aggressed and they see a ship coming down and they see it then moving away, that could be an abduction. There's just a different time frame.
Oh, we've got break up. Mike's locking up. Are you back?
Yeah, he's back, I think.
So you could have basically a screen memory from that.
Yeah.
A lot of abductees do experience screen memories. So and like what I was saying to Robert, sometimes the memories are not complete. So they may present to you a false memory. And the reasons they do that is anyone's guess, but certainly it's to do with concealment. They don't want you to know or discover anything about that abduction. But the reason why it's something you're looking into, why that is really.
And I think that's probably why the government hasn't come clean on this stuff, because they don't know what it is, they can't control it, and they probably know abductions do happen and they can't stop it or detect when it happens. But maybe in the future they will. Aren't they setting up some sort of radar in this space, radar grid in space that can detect stuff leaving and entering? Part of the Space Force program, I think. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. They're talking about these mini satellites, things the size of a smartphone, and they can send it up there on SpaceX and launch about 50,000 of them, and they can move them around in space. So they've got little gyros on it, solar cells and all that sort of stuff. Be interesting to know what is up there now, being monitored for the UFO stuff now. It's sort of come out with the Pentagon stuff. And of course they're getting more funding now, so obviously they're going to need more data collection, so that means they're going to demand more technology and access to radar and stuff that's only available to probably NSA and stuff, right? The high-res satellite images and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm of the belief that there is nobody on this planet that actually knows exactly what's going on with this. I don't believe that for a second. I think they're as baffled as the general public. I think they maybe know a bit more than the general public, but
yeah.
And when I say the general public, I don't mean that really as such. I mean UFO researchers, the UFO community. I think they know more. They don't know a hell of a lot more. And how do you tell anyone about something that you don't really understand?
Yeah, it's a bit hard. But that's why we form these little groups of people that are actually trying to find the answers together. And as Michael said, writing it down or talking to others helps with the understanding and the healing process. There's a lot of people out there that probably don't even talk about their experiences because they're scared of being laughed at in their jobs or professions, or not taken seriously after that, Me, I just don't care what people think. They either believe me or they don't. It's up to them. But yeah, people know what the type of character I am, and I do debunk the crap out there, the hoaxes and the frauds. And oddly enough, all the big UFO channels never actually have any experiences themselves, which is kind of ironic in itself. So yet people follow them, and makes no sense to me whatsoever. And they got no qualifications. You know, you don't have to have a PhD, but a basic degree at least shows you're able to research stuff and comprehend high order stuff.
Well, some channels probably just have guests on. You know, you don't need the PhD to have a guest on.
No.
And you let the guest do the talking.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need a degree to do that.
No, you don't.
You
But I'm talking about the overall of these people running these channels, though. Just having guests on all the time. You know, a lot of them just repeat the same guests. So it's not like they get fresh contactees to come on and blab it out in the public. Normally, they like it private and go to ERT or somewhere like that and get it documented that way. And of course, then you got these people that run ERT writing books about it, using their stories, making money off it. So, to me, it needs to be all open. Everybody needs to be open about it and just come forward and just go from there. Obviously, there's going to be a few people that have mental problems, right? But there should be. That's why a lot of these professionals do give you tests to see where your memory state is, whether you have sleeping problems that could be influencing illusions in your head. You know, it does happen. Now, if you're really tired, sometimes you do have eye anomalies happen, you know, and so you just got to be aware of all that. But yeah, when you have it happening all the time, it's going to wear you down, isn't it?
The trouble with that is, you know, you have different stages of altered states of consciousness when you're sleeping as well. You know, you've got the alpha states and the beta states, and, you know, it brings you into different levels of consciousness where you're able to more perceive this type of phenomena as well. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the time, a lot of abductions, they happen around 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you know, what some people call the witching hour. And the reason why that is, you also have a lot of type of paranormal phenomena, and you have to ask yourself why that is. Perhaps when our brains or our minds enter a certain state of consciousness, maybe in a way it's a doorway for them to enter easier.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there must be, if you gather evidence on cases with abductees, and, you know, even like poltergeist activity, there is a lot of evidence to suggest those times mean something.
Yeah. I've got a feeling it's something to do with radiation from the sun itself, why they do those hours. It doesn't matter what side planet on the timeline. It always happens in those 3 to 5, you know, as you say. Well, more often it does. Sometimes people have daylight sightings, but normally that might be in a darkened place, you know, in your house or something where it's not got the direct sunlight, or in a loft or in a castle or whatever. So yeah, I think our light from the sun it hurts them. Our light from the sun hurts them. That's why their light is different when they abduct you. It's not the same type of light. Maybe it's something to do that they come from another universe or whatever, but a ghost walking through the walls is the same as an alien, or you lifting through a ceiling or something, you know. So there's some connection going on there.
Well, there's obviously the science behind that is something.
Yeah, it's going to be real science. There's going to be real science behind it all.
And it's obviously
it's just that we need a lot more. We need a lot more scientists involved in trying to figure it out, rather than trying to debunk it all the time. Mick West, if he just went on some of these ghost hunting shows where they actually do starting to capture some apparitions on camera now. They've got the technology now, and the EVPs, right, are clear as day, some of them. Especially when they ask, what's your name? And it says Bill, or Bob, or Robert, it's fairly obvious. Everybody can hear the name being said on some of it. I think he might have a world view change, Mick West. He just needs, because he's going on about debunkers and also believers, and there's an overlap. Well, the overlap is the truthers, where they've also skeptical, but they're also seeking answers, but also had experiences, and that's where Mick needs to get the experiences, because it does change you, and it changes your mind to try and seek out the answers. So yeah, I posted a comment on Twitter last night saying, well, won't you join up with Josh Gates and go along on one of his Expedition X encounters? They did a recent one on an island, and they got this crazy apparition. It looked like a Civil War trooper walking across the wall. It almost looked like a computer game. It's so crazy. I'd like to see Mick West analyse their 4K footage of that, see what he comes up with, see if he can debunk it. He'll come up with some excuse. I think you just got to follow the science and the facts, and not trying to always say, well, I've got to debunk this regardless. Some stuff you just can't. You can narrow it down to a couple of things.
Though he's got to do that because his reputation is. He has to explain something.
You reckon his reputation would be toast after that if he didn't debunk it?
No, of course. Yeah. If he admits to not being able to explain something, then where's his followers gone? Then he hasn't got them anymore, has he? He's expected to be able to debunk everything. It's a shame, but he's got himself in that situation now. He's got to back it up. Yeah, that's his living. There's plenty of them. There's that guy Cox. There's Dunning as well.
That's who I was. Sorry, Robert. That's who I was thinking of the other day when I was saying to you, Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Oh, good God! What an awful.
Remember, I was saying I can't remember his name. That's who I meant.
Oh right,
remember I said, him. When we were talking.
I couldn't work out who you meant. Yes, he is. He is a scientist. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. British guy.
I better go down to the side chat. We've got some side chats going on. I'll just shrink you back down. What do we got here? John came and left after I said we got a guest abductee on. L and FF, we are here watching your stream. Beautiful hat. Who's got a hat? Robert, is it?
No, right, yeah, sure.
Hat man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. A wee bit late to the party. We're probably a good hour into it now. It's amazing how much you can talk about, though, because if it's part of your life now. And do you get upset when you hear people debunk your claims at all, Michael?
No, I don't, because like you said, I've had that in the past. I'm at an age now where I know what I've had, and that's fine. But I also accept people. Will debunk, won't believe, but that's fine. That's their choice. But I've had what I've had. I still have it, and I'm writing about it. Got no reason to lie. People don't know me, but I have no reason to lie. And I've only, I'm coming out of it. I'm coming out with this stuff now at this age because, it's just part of my life now that I feel I need to.
So where was the stage where you decided you were going to be open about this, and then when did that lead to the journals, or were the journals always there, and then the motivation to write the book? I know that was a bit of a convoluted question, but
well, no, I mean they're good questions, really. I would say probably. I wanted to talk more about it in the 2017. I do find it difficult sometimes to talk about. But then I've always recorded experiences. So I've always, written them down. If I ever have anything, even something that, is even more bizarre than that, I write it down, I record it, I go back to it later, maybe cross-reference it with others to see if there's a bigger picture. But now, I think it's been a long time I wanted to write a book, and I just didn't have the confidence to do it. And now I'm gaining more confidence to do that, and just writing it, putting it out there. It's not just about me. It's hopefully the book will help somebody else.
Absolutely. So
and
yeah, events from 2017 when there was a kind of a disclosure, a very soft disclosure. Did that actually help you?
I don't think the disclosures really are going to help so much abductees, really. I think it's, I don't think that will help abductees, because I think when you have disclosure, I don't think disclosure is going to reveal anything so much to do with abductees as what these lights are in the sky. I think, like Paul was saying, I think they will, to some degree, they'll keep that to themselves, because, people don't want to know that their citizens are being abducted and the government can't do nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
That's quite frightening, that these entities can come into your house and snatch your children away, and you can't do nothing to stop it.
Gotcha.
Has it followed you around? Have you always been in the same house all your life, or have you moved around, or what?
No, I've moved around. I could be in someone's house and a thing happened to me.
Right.
And most certainly, at the moment here, I'm in a friend's house here, and they don't experience this type of phenomena that we do, but I've had stuff which is more paranormal based around me. Where you have the alterations, the atmospheric alterations in the room, and obviously the sensitivity of knowing when something's around you. Whether that's
have you got a laser grid pen at all? Because when I started getting paranormal activity, I knew I could sense something there, but a laser grid pen is a good way to just shine it around and just see if there's anything that sort of bends the light. It's there then. I think it scares them away too. I don't think they like the laser grid pen. So I got that next to my bed all the time now, and I got the touch lamp, so you can turn on the light pretty damn quick. Which apparently keeps blowing up every 2 months. I have to keep fixing it. So much electronics and stuff goes wrong in my house here. It's just unbelievable. It just sucks my money dry. So I have to keep buying new bits and.
Have you heard many of those stories, Robert? When you're doing cases where there's problems with electricity around.
Hell yeah.
Abductees and so forth.
Hell yeah. That's a common theme.
Light bulbs blow quite often, I find. And even this morning when we were doing this, going to do the live show with you, Michael, I had so new problems. I turned on my power switch. It was saying it was all right, and it wasn't. It wasn't receiving any AC to the laptop. And I thought, maybe something's got loose overnight. It was working when I went to bed, 6 hours or 7 hours ago. And I thought, oh shit, some Men in Black again. So what I did is I moved the socket from one of the other on a power board to another location, turned it on, and it started working. And now I've got actually 2 sockets on that board that are no good anymore. So this is so weird. This is the sort of technology problems I have, a weirdness, and things start to fail especially when I have abductee cases come on. There's always some sort of strange. And then we had that sort of weird thing there where it wasn't switching the person on the screen on the software, which is kind of weird, and it started working. So but a lot of hardware problems I get. And And battery drain, of course, is another common one. But lately, I've noticed the air around the house is a lot lighter. And I've not had anything, touch wood, happen for quite a while now, since Christmas period. So maybe they've given up on me, I don't know. But if we start getting more guests like you on the show, maybe they'll be coming back again. They're just keeping an eye on what I'm doing, I think. And who I'm talking to and who I'm influencing, because I'm an influencer in trying to solve this, make our own disclosure sense, right? Try and get people involved in critical thinking and the science side of it, in ways we can capture this evidence. What else are we going to ask? Has any of it been around water all the time? More active around water locations that you've been around, or has it all been
not so
internal
much
land?
because no, not so much for me.
Okay.
It's because the areas that I'm in are really, there's London, built up areas, and the city, and the countryside really now. So
yeah.
I mean,
with UFO cases, you look at maybe just over 50% of cases happen either over water or close to water. With abductions, that doesn't really apply. I've never seen any evidence to suggest that happens with abductions.
Yeah.
But there's another good point here, like that Michael was making, how we have different levels of consciousness as we progress in our sleep, and maybe we're more vulnerable to these beings, creatures, phenomena, whatever it is, at certain stages in that sleep. But yet you also get the type of abductions, like the Knowles family abduction, for example, where they actually lifted the car off the road. And so nobody was sleeping at the time. Well, Betty and Barney Hill, their abduction case was similar as well, but quite often they seem to love people who are driving their car 3, 4, 5 in the morning in remote locations. Look out. That's another one of their little favourites. Night fishing as well, not to be recommended. Calvin Parker might tell you something about that. It's a very strange phenomenon, but never will they take someone from the middle of town in the middle of the day. So there's definitely some kind of clandestine operation going on. And I just don't think there's a lot we can do about it. And I commend your efforts to try and capture it, Paul, because we've got to try, haven't we? But I'm not overly optimistic that we're going to be able to do that.
I mean, the only problem is if you gain, a really good piece of evidence and you put it on, there is a bigger chance that will be taken down or removed from you. I mean, I know somebody who is basically who's invented a free energy device, and his biggest mistake was he was broadcasting it on basically YouTube, and then 3 days later he had it confiscated by the government, and they kicked his door in and they removed it from him, literally physically. And this guy's in his 80s, and he lives in in the southwest of England, and they took all his research materials, and they told him never to talk about such things live again. Or to anyone really, so there is I think there's an overbody watching what we do, and the investigations that go on within this field.
Yeah, someone spies on me all the time. I'm pretty sure of it.
Maybe.
And they're trying. Right, hang on, we lost you.
Maybe they they need the research that we do, Robert.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting nowhere with it.
Yes.
I think we lost Michael.
No, he's still there.
Oh. Yeah, he's back. Could have been on my end.
You're on cable though, aren't you, Robert? Me and you is pretty solid. I think Michael's on
No,
Wi-Fi there.
Yeah, I'm not on cable at the moment, Paul.
Oh, okay. Okay. It does depend on if you got the latest wireless in and all that sort of stuff. AC, I think, is the best one.
Yeah, this is quite good. This one, yeah. Where I am now, this one's quite strong.
Okay.
Obviously, it's in the countryside, so you do get jitters.
But we can't just rule out there's some interference from government body when you break up and stuff. We've had some strange stuff over the years. We joke about Men in Black all the time, but we've heard voices also. We've heard voices in the background once, and Robert didn't hear it, and I thought, well, that's really strange. So sometimes I'm not sure if we pick up EVPs and on our mics, maybe possibly, or might be some spying going on. But yeah, I've had the case where both my screens suddenly switched off, which should never happen unless you've got some remote control software on your system. So I think there's a lot of backdoors in Windows 10 you got to be careful of. Although I'm a computer scientist, so I have a lot of the highest security under the sun on here and monitor things. So I haven't managed to detect it. I think it's really at system level where it's called a rootkit and makes it very hard to monitor what's going on there. All you can do is monitor the traffic on the internet ports to see if there's unusual ports being opened. But it's complicated. A lot of people I talk to that have had credible UFO sightings often talk about losing files, right, or being hacked, or the emails being disappearing and stuff like that.
I bet that happened to me.
Well, you think it happened to you, Michael? Did you say that you thought it happened to you?
It did happen to me. Tell us
about that.
Well, it was for something a little bit different. But I was in when I lived in Glastonbury. I was doing research for somebody who was doing, he was investigating fracking, stuff like that, at the time, and I sent him loads of emails, and they were like, they were removed. All of them were removed from his computer, and he's like Paul. He had loads of security on his computers. He's quite, I guess, paranoid sometimes about who might break into it. But they all went missing, and a lot of the post is being intercepted and never gets to where it goes. And I had when I was living in Glastonbury as well, in one of the properties I was living in at the time, one of my neighbours was saying to me that there was like the police were hanging around and going through the phone, cable boxes. And when he confronted them, they told him basically, to get lost and mind his own business. And that was the phone lines were going directly into the house. So it's just, but Robert, the Daily Mirror.
Yes.
In the UK, when I was living in London, there was a woman. She was a reporter from the Daily Mirror group, and she was looking at contacting people, that have seen lights in the sky and stuff like that. At the time, I was a bit naive, and I sent her basically a whole journal of information that I've had over the years. And after about 2 weeks, I never heard anything from her. So I called the office, and the editor at the time, he said that she'd left the building, and basically all my material had gone with her. So I was a bit pissed off. Yeah, I say this to people. I was a bit pissed off because I had a lot of information in that book. I was a bit naive at the time, and just didn't think, about at the time.
Always keep 3 backups.
Yeah, and somebody would, would take that, and I never got it back. I always remembered that though. And they said they don't know why she left. She suddenly left, and she was a journalist for the Daily Mirror group. And that was in the 1980s.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a big journal as well. It was quite, quite volume, and it had sketches in it at the time that I had. What would have been useful now whilst I'm writing the book, but because it was set around that period, I was really, pissed off, shall we say, about that.
You do have to be a little bit careful because there's been occasions now. The Calvine photo in Scotland. It was taken by 2 hikers.
Actually, 5 photos, I believe.
Eh?
There was 5 photos. They got 5 photos.
Oh, there was several. Yes, there was 5, I believe. And they sent it on to a local newspaper, and the local newspaper passed it to the MOD, thinking it might be useful to them. So you see, that could be just what happened to your journal.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't know.
I don't know what happened to it, but I know, I was annoyed at the time that I didn't get it back.
Yeah.
And they couldn't give me a proper explanation why she took it with her.
Yeah. Shame you didn't photograph each of the pages into your smartphone. But anyway.
Yeah, I know. It was supposed to be
telling you the truth, of course.
It was supposed to be returned to me, and but you learn as you go along.
Yeah. Yeah. How old were you to be then in the 80s?
No, at the time, 16.
Yeah, there you
15,
go. Yeah.
16,
Yeah.
Around that age.
Strangely enough, I had I was sent the video, and it was the one we were looking at last week on this show. I was sent a video and a couple of stills, and what I done, I was sent them via Facebook, and so I downloaded them onto the hard drive, put them in the downloads folder, and then I put a shortcut on the desktop. So I don't know. Me and Paul think these it's quite good evidence, pretty good evidence. And anyway, about 10 days later, I noticed that the shortcuts weren't on my desktop anymore. They'd gone, and I thought, ooh, shit. But I thought, it'll be okay. They'll still be in the downloads folder. And they weren't. They'd gone from the downloads folder as well. So what I'd done then, bit of a panic, is I told this guy I wouldn't share them, and now they've gone. I thought, how am I going to explain this? I scrolled back up to his Facebook message, and the files are still there. So I re-downloaded them, and I've still got them. So the next step I made was to put them on a USB drive, 2 of them, and gave one to my mate. So, yeah. But I'll never forget that, because I know glitches happen. The computer was old. It could have been a failing hard drive. It could have accidentally deleted them. But why was it just those 2 files, Or was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3 or 4. But it was only them that were gone. And I thought that was really strange. And I still can't work that out. But that's the strangest thing that's happened to me in this field.
That is strange.
That's quite recent.
Did you say you had children that also have experiences in the house, or was you
Is that
talking
me?
about someone else? Yeah.
Yeah, it's you, mate.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You don't have children?
I never married, and I don't have children. I mean, that was always a concern as well, because abductions, they often run in families, so you're often concerned. But I also listen to children when they do speak about things, if friends of children, if they're having specific nightmares or they're having experiences, sometimes I know from experience myself and others, that's often dismissed as being in your imagination. But sometimes it's best to listen, because if those children are having anything related to the paranormal or even abduction, it's good to to keep an eye on that, really. Because otherwise, because children do suffer in silence, don't they? And they don't necessarily need to do that.
Sister's kids were talking about strange stuff in the night time with the paranormal side, so we used to listen and take it seriously. Because we've had it
Yeah.
ourselves, right? It always helps if you had the same experiences. But yeah. What's going on now?
I mean,
Hang on.
Oh, yeah. If anything, you don't want. Can you hear?
You broke up there a wee bit. Yeah, just carry on. It's all right now, I think.
Yeah, because we've had these experiences and others like us. You don't wish it on anyone. You don't want anyone to have anything like that. And if you can help anyone at any time, even if it's just listening to them and giving them some sort of compassion and understanding, that sometimes helps.
Yeah.
To let them know they're not alone. There's others out there that go through these experiences.
Yeah.
Michael. So, as you're well aware, there's many people in this field that have had experiences that they deem to be positive. In your experience, could you say there's been anything positive about all this at all?
Well, my abduction experiences haven't been like that. I am aware that there are people that do have positive, and if they've had positive, that's really good. You don't want anyone to have a negative. I don't want anyone to have a negative. But in my case, mine have often been, quite horrific, really, and extreme. But again, that's my own personal experiences, and not to tarnish anyone's who's had a positive. If you've had a positive one, that's really good. Sure. Especially if it's helped you in any way in your life. But for me, mine have not been like that. But at the same point, I try to look, at it from a bigger picture, rather than allowing it to pull me down. I try to rise up above it and try to be stronger.
But at the same time, that there has been occasions where you've actually felt physical pain as well. That's not. I mean, me and Paul have spoken to a few people firsthand that have had that same thing happen, and I know that's probably the least comfortable thing to talk about, but it is what it is, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Take your time. Don't know worry about that. It's just something that people need to be aware of. So thank you for being brave enough to confirm that. We had an Australian lad. Then he was a military guy, and he said he suffered some fairly horrendous pain and experience with these guys. I mean, I didn't speak to him in particular, but I did listen to the interview. It was on here. It was on this show. And no, it wasn't a nice tale he was telling.
Yeah, and they were putting their hands into his body and pulling out organs and all sorts of nasty stuff. You can find those stories on my channel, though.
You sounded so sincere, too.
Yeah, I got a playlist called Members Stories. I suppose your one will be pinned to the end. Let's see, I haven't even got it up here. But I'll see if I can find the playlist and post it on the side for people. Where's my website? Here, that one. So, yeah. I was going to show that picture that we're talking about that went missing. We've done some more analysis on it and got some more information on it. I was going to look at it and ask you if you've seen. Yeah, I was going to ask him if he's seen his sources, any of the objects that he's seen above his house or whatever, been like these ones. That's what I was going to ask. But yeah, let me just find that playlist. By all means, just carry on interviewing there, and while I find the playlist.
Yes, I was just going to ask: is there any way people can contact you, Michael, if they wanted to?
Yeah, they can contact me on my email address.
Okay.
You want me to say
Robert,
it?
Can
yes, please.
Oh,
so it's Michael Kameron That's with a K.
Yeah.
At 2000, it's Michael Kameron 2022 at gmail.com.
Okay, is any capital letters in there?
No, they're all lower
I
keys.
post it in the side chat so people can see it, Robert.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Cameron, please go again, Mike, so I get the rest of it.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
Snipes, we
Michael
haven't
Kameron.
seen you about. What?
Oh, Paul, you just talked over.
Ah, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, it's Michael Kameron 2022 at gmail.com.
That's fantastic. That's done.
I think you can actually type it on the screen here in Jitsi, actually. There's a thing here called private chat, I think. Where is it? Let's see, what have we got here? Sharing your screen. Open chat. I'm not sure if it goes to everybody, but let's give it a try. Hello. I thought I typed it in, but it's not picking up my input. Oh no, there's the alien heads in the way. Get out of the way. So yeah, if you type into that, you can post your links and also into there if you want to, and information. And I could just bring it up on the screen there as well. I'm not sure what else we got.
Bad enough. It's bad enough having to talk about all this without posting stuff as well.
Yeah, if people want to get into contact. Thanks for the donation from Mr. Snipes. We haven't seen you around here for a while. And I've posted the link there.
Okay.
I've posted a link to my playlist on my experiences that I've documented so far, and also all different members that come on. You'll find the Australian guy there, and this one here. Can't remember what his name was now.
Nah, nor can I. Was it Ryan something?
I'm not sure. But let's just skim the list here of letters. Robert.
He was in the army as well, wasn't he?
The
just shows
Australian.
it happens to people in all walks of life. It doesn't just doesn't pick one group of people out.
Yeah. Could be in the midweek one there, is it? Let's see.
Oh,
Corey.
never mind now, Paul.
That's his name, Corey. Corey Alien Encounter. So it's on that one there. I could post a link individually to it, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to him. I think his son died, and his wife was in the UK, and there's all sorts of stuff going on with his life. Eventually, he just stopped communicating. So that happens to everybody who wants to tell the story.
You're alive, I reckon.
So Michael might disappear now, you see. Corey was...
Yeah, down the crack
Encounter.
in the pavement.
I don't know, people do disappear and we never hear from them again. That's kind of weird. But anyway, hopefully nothing bad will happen to you. Men in Black might give you a visit. If anything does strange happen after this live broadcast, let us know. Because it's worth documenting, of course.
I mean,
anything unusual, like laptop being hacked or some files going missing or more activity now or stuff like that. Just keep awareness of what's going on, because there may be something that happened with Robert after today's show and probably myself. But yeah, just always be aware. So yeah, we got this UFO one here. Do we want to? Is it all right to bring up now here, Robert? Is he there? Has he gone to the
So,
toilet?
yes, if you want to talk about that, and please stay with us if you've got the time, Michael.
I'm going to stay
Yeah.
to the end.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, I can't show you my process video of this UFO because it's not allowed to be public, but we can show some of the images that I've processed that he sent, which are higher quality than the video. So remember I was talking about Earl Grey had a similar video which he couldn't release. And I thought it was a MUFON investigator that filmed it, but it turns out to be the same video. So this video comes from the UK guy. So eventually Robert managed to find the still because mine disappeared off Discord. I had a copy on Discord and it's no longer there, but I had my modified version only one. So here's the original image of his original video. I think we've got a lower bitrate quality video to what his camera is able to do. We've got a camera model of Samsung S9 Plus, wasn't it? And it can do 4K. His is a brand new phone of 2018 type technology. It was able to do 4K and 720K at 900 frames a second, not just the usual 30 or 60, and yet the video we got was only 30 frames and only
but we know the reason for that now, don't we? Yeah, we know the reason for that now.
Yeah, so you can see it's got some sort of vapor coming off the front here. The dark stuff around here is also what would be called MP, the MP4 container uses a codec called 264 or 265, and based on your settings and all that, you get compression artifacts. It normally ends up being this halo that goes around it, blackness around it. You know, I ran it through some filters because there wasn't a filter that could show everything, and you can see here it's definitely a classic flying disc here, and it seems to have like an opening here where there seems to be the vapor coming up and over the top of it as it was flying. And I started thinking, well, this actually looks like it's in trouble because the original sighting, the guy said it was weaving all over the place. I think they got a fire on board, or maybe something burst and they vented it out and got control of it again and then zoomed off. In the video you can see how it zooms off, which is what we don't see on most UFO videos out there, even from Corbell. So this video is like the smoking gun evidence, and I keep asking Robert, why doesn't he want it to be made public? Why doesn't he not come on our show? He's got someone here that can analyse stuff that's technical and this sort of stuff. Okay, here's another enhancement I did. You can see it's definitely got 3D curves on it here. It's a classic flying disc with a I wouldn't say it was like a dome, but it's more like a hat shape, doesn't it? And you can see the doorway here with the steam being released outside here on this particular frame. There's only 4 seconds of useful video out of the video that we've got, and these are 2 frames from a couple of seconds. Here's another one where you can see the vapor trail better, and you can see here the artifacts now have been suppressed with the filter. So you're seeing more the shape of the craft here. You can see it's got some 3-dimensional reflections happening here on that very bright spot where the sun's hitting it. But you can see the doorway here again, and it's leaking off this gas, quite a lot of it, and going all the way over here and upwards here. So I think it's definitely in trouble here, and we're seeing the actual bottom of the UFO here now, I think, in this filtering I did. So yeah, you go from that original one to all that, and scale it up and filter it, and you get a lot more idea what's going on. I don't believe it went into the portal. I think it's zoomed off and the camera lost it. So the original one he sent us, he actually had stretched the video. So what I've done here is I've taken this stretched version here and rescaled it to what it should be. And you can see it still looks like a flying disc, and it now fits more the other frame that we've got here, where it's actually quite high up dome on it. So yeah, you can see the dome here is reflecting off the edge here. You can see it goes up to a flat bit, just exactly the same as in this frame here. But we've got two different angles. This thing here was flying all over the place in the video, mostly on its side, and it was leaking all this sort of gas coming off it. So I reckon it was in trouble. So what else I've got? Now what I've done is I've sort of got this one, scaled it up to this one properly and seen if the size matches. And you can see here the reflections are all in the right places, and you can see the curvature there. So you can see the angles happening there. And that was the only image I had left here, and you can see the doorway here, but you can't see the steam so much in this particular filtering, but you can see definitely more of the 3D silver thing. It's no way a Mylar balloon. Okay, especially if you take in the eyewitness account. You could say it looks like a Mylar balloon here, but side view here is less likely to be a Mylar balloon because I haven't seen any that sort of fits that shape. So you get my honest reaction on this, and you're getting some of my nice filters. But unfortunately, that's all we can show you of it. So I thought we'd do an update on that. So does that sort of look like what you've seen? You know, the brown one's probably a bit better. Have you seen it over your house like that at all, or is it yours more bigger, less dome? Michael?
I would say mine would be different to that.
Yeah, this is why drawings actually would be helpful.
Well, the thing is, these discs, they do come in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
You know, the word disc is just a kind of a generalization. It seems to be different models of these things. I don't know if that's a naive way of putting it or not. I don't know. But it's always been the case with UFOs, even with the triangles now, they're not exactly the same. Some of them have sharp edges. Some of them are rounded edges. We don't know why. I wish you'd make it a bit simpler and fly around in the same craft every time. It'd be a lot easier to identify.
Yeah. And of course, if you didn't have such a high quality camera, that would just look like a Mylar balloon flapping around in a vortex one, and it would be dismissed. So the quality of the camera is going to make a difference. And his phone also had 2 times optical zoom, which is very abnormal, and he would have zoomed in, and that gave enough zoom to get the detail that we needed in those images there. So
because once you start going in digital zoom, you start degrading the quality.
So there's your real UFO video there. Are we allowed to talk about what MUFON did with him and why it got suppressed at all, Robert?
Well, no. Let me talk about that. Okay. It went to MUFON via Earl, and Earl had it analysed. We think Mark D'Antonio took a look at it. It was showed at a UFO, not a conference, but like a private meeting, and it was deemed to be the real thing, and that's about all that needs to be said about it. But of course, we're pretty certain now that the original video, because it contained the EXIF data. You see, if you haven't got the EXIF data MUFON, they won't touch it. The EXIF data, for people who don't know, contains the GPS, which means the time and the date can be verified. It means because of the GPS, the location can be verified, time of day, everything. Yeah, and the original resolution, blah blah blah, all that stuff is there, all the information you need. Because if something's been stripped of the EXIF data, then it's a sign of deception, and MUFON won't go any further.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
A screenshot will never. The screenshot doesn't have the exit information, in it, but
No.
they would have found some other ways to verify it, I think. But we haven't got access to all the original files, unfortunately. But I think this is the first time you guys have seen a real flying saucer actually on photo. And it's probably, you know, people say, yeah, we're looking at the real deal here. Also, you got Mojo's one, which I, you know, said I couldn't really see how anyone could debunk it. They could make up claims and all that, but there's so much going on in that video. I don't think a 60-year-old man would be bothering to fake it like that. So yeah, this you know, even though it's still low quality, and we're talking about a dot in the sky here, that's what that was zoomed in on 4K video. This shows as the technology gets better, you never know what you're going to capture. So, like I said, it's abnormal to get a UFO in broad daylight. So I think because of this vapor and the door open on this particular frame, it wasn't open on the other frames, that they were venting off, and they zoomed off, and because that's near the coast, and I think they zoomed off and went straight into the sea just in case it was going to crash, and maybe put out the fire, even flood the engine compartment and wait for help to arrive, sort of thing.
I wouldn't like to speculate personally on what was going on with that vapor. If it is a vapor, I don't think we really know that. We don't understand the technology. Nothing wrong with speculating. Don't you know? Your concept of what happened is fine with me, and it's possible. I don't know. I'm not sure whether it zoomed off, or whether somehow it cloaked, or whether it somehow went back into a different dimension.
No, actually got
still on the table.
Before it zoomed off, it actually got slightly smaller. So
yes, it did seem to shrivel and go. Yeah. Weird.
Hello, Jason. How's it going? In the side chat there. Do ask questions in the side chat, and we'll see if we can answer it. If you want to ask Michael anything about his own abduction experiences, go ahead.
Questions.
Anything we've missed. But yeah. And this hasn't been on TV, this UFO video, so UFO case.
No, it's not in the public domain.
It may never appear in public domain, which is kind of sad. But you can bet the military have got even better footage than this. You know, the laser.
Absolutely. If a guy like that can, capture something up, but he was dead lucky, just to happen to look up, and the whole video was 15 seconds.
Yeah. And like I said, only 4 seconds is where it's stable enough and in focus enough and big enough to process and actually get details out of it. Even in the poor version of the video we got, it still fits the same frame. You can see it was from the same frame, but we haven't got the quality. But yeah, we never know. Maybe it'll come right and give us more permission and more info to work around with it, if he likes what I do. But yeah, I thought I'd share that update with people, because it's a very interesting case. And this is why we're here. We're going to make our own disclosure, but it can only happen if people want stuff public. I can understand he might want copyright on it, and all that sort of business to make money off it, sell it to Hollywood or whatever. But I don't know. What can you do, really? If it's only 4 seconds of video that's any good, I suppose you could sell them the crappy footage to use, and Mick West and all that would be laughing at it. But
You should stay away from that.
there was an enhancement
Yeah.
I did where you could actually see where it opened up the hatch and it was venting off. That there was actually some black bits dropping out of the hatch.
Yes, like a dripping molten metal kind of
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, and it only come out on one video process I did, oddly enough. Because there was a bit of rolling shutter that was happening. But yeah, it definitely had some dripping off for 1 second or so. It's very hard to see it. But we can't play it live, unfortunately, and you just have to take our word for it. But yeah, I haven't really got much more to say on that. That's it.
Yeah, Wes is asking down the side chat there, how fast do you say it flew away? Oh my God, man. Not even half a second. Half a second
it's very
would have been
fast.
like slow-mo. Blink of an eye.
Yeah,
Point
hypersonic
something
speed.
Yeah,
Definitely
hi Jason
hypersonic.
Howard as well.
Mm.
Oh God, yeah, and it would have, if it did accelerate away, it would have had to have been instantaneous acceleration. Yeah.
Yeah. Lurking in the background. We get lots of lurkers around here. But yes, it's good that we got some donations coming in. I'm 60 US short to keep it on channel live for another year, so if you can help out wherever you can, that's great. You can give a tip anytime, we don't have to be live. Just gonna check. Something strange going on here. My magnifier dropped off. Is it still working? Yeah, it's still working. Okay. The men in black are slowly getting us, guys. I was just gonna check out the gold thing here. See how I turn on the icons again. Because it hasn't been added on, and I've had to manually add on stuff. It might suddenly get too much. No, it looks like it hasn't added yours on, so it's kind of weird. It used to work, so I might have to add that manually on. So yeah, we're $60 short there still, but we're getting there. More people are joining here, of course. And Mike, you still there?
I am.
You got a bit quiet.
Listening and learning.
Alright. Yeah, anyone want to ask Michael questions now? Go ahead, and I'll shut up.
Funny thing is, doing live at this time when we start at 12ish, you get more people joining towards the end of the stream.
Yeah, we do from America.
The UK guys drop off, and then yeah, you get a few of the American chaps joining us.
Something's going on with my Google account though. Every time I get up to the next plus 10 subs, it always starts losing a sub a day, and it drops back down to 500. And they say it's nothing to do with their system. This has been happening for every week since at least 6 months now. So you can tell I'm being suppressed for some reason. And maybe Google are part of the government. Who knows? They don't like what I'm doing, exposing the liars and bringing you the best evidence I can come across when people.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, I don't believe that for a second, because I mean, look at people like Tyler and Third Phase of the Moon. Good God, man, they don't care all the false nonsense they're putting out. They're still backing them, aren't they?
Yeah, because they're making lots of money off them. They're not making any money off
me. Yeah,
me.
because they're making lots of money off them. Yeah, so well, that's double standards, isn't it? Come on. That doesn't make sense, Paul.
Yeah. You get the crazy people that think you should do 10-minute videos, but could you do a 10-minute video and sum up your abduction case, Michael? I don't think so.
No.
Not to be proper information data collection at least, and to be able to use it for connecting the dots.
To be honest, I think Michael's experience has been so intense and so ongoing that I think maybe we only scratched the surface tonight. But I suppose at least we covered the main points. I don't know.
And but, he's got free. Is it a free book, or you have to pay for the book, or what?
No, it's not. It's not even published yet, Paul. Give it a chance. He's still writing the journals.
It's going to be, it'll be, a book that you pay for, but it's, I've wrote at the moment. I've got something like 80,000 words. 80,000.
Have you actually contacted any publisher? I'm personally interested in this.
No, not yet. No.
No, okay,
I know who will help you though. Philip Mantel will help you.
Yeah, I've been in contact with Philip, and he was just suggesting that to put some drawings in it. It always helps, and
that's what I said.
Something I'll look at. And I've still got to do a cover, the title of the book. Also, there's various drafts that you go through, isn't there? What you cut out, what you edit out, or what you want to put extra in. Mm-hmm. So it's it's still got a lot of work to do, but I'll get it out there. It's just volume 1. I've got volume 2 waiting to go. I've got all the details that I need, so it's just about putting it all together. It's very stressful writing it, and also you do have doubts come up about it, but I'm very open and honest about it, and but as I said, it's very, there's lots of things that have come up, and it allowed me actually to reconnect with my brother that I've not had contact with for 15 years. So that was quite positive.
Yeah.
And, it's very much to do with healing yourself, but also, it's not just about you. You're putting it out there to hopefully help other people.
Yep. Cool.
And we lost Michael again. Now he's back.
Allow them to, understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really good if you'd ever actually
come on.
Maybe wrote one chapter in the book. But of course, if he's, I don't know, maybe settled down and all that stuff now, might not be his thing.
I mean, it's got my experiences in it, but it's also, it's trying to explain really myself, my own thoughts about why you get abducted and, different possibilities. It's not set in sand, so to speak. It's just my own thoughts, So everyone will have their own different ways of thinking about things like that. With their own, because there's normally there's universal steps, what experiences, what abductees have, but each time, it is a personal journey for each person.
Yeah. Do you think the aliens from other parts of the universe, or interdimensional, or multiverse idea?
Well, I think we'll learn, won't we, as we go along, what they really are.
But have you got your own opinion? What do you think?
I would say, from, as I said, I travel outside the body, and a lot of abductees do have these type of experiences outside the body. But there are obviously different dimensions out there. I think some of them could come from here, and some of them could be from out there. I wouldn't say necessarily from planets. I would say probably interdimensional rather than anything else. But will probably, later on we might find it out as our investigations continue.
who you're a fan of. I know a lot of abductees seem to follow Greer and Linda Moulton Howe, and who's the other one?
Yeah, but hold on. Well, Greer doesn't believe abductions got anything to do with aliens at all. Greer believes it's all abductions are my lab, that the aliens wouldn't do that. They wouldn't hurt anybody. That they're our space brothers. Linda Moulton Howe, on the other hand, is a bit of a different can of worms. Unfortunately, she seems to believe everything she's told. I honestly believe it's done a great deal of harm in the UFO
they're
community.
big influences. Dolan,
They are.
Linda Moulton Howe,
They've got an awful, terrible
Grant
amount
Kent.
of.
Yeah, Kameron. What do you think of Grant Kent? Because I don't think much of him.
No, I don't either. I don't know. And he's talking about this making contact thing, all with the CE5 thing all the time now. Now, I'm not saying he's advocating Greer, but that's the kind of thing he's talking about. You know, I want to be careful who I summon into my life by meditating on the side of some mountain. I don't know about who these guys are. I don't have a galactic hotline. I don't have the aliens on speed dial. You know what I mean? So I don't know who I'm inviting into my life. So personally, I'm not going to do it. If other people feel the need to do it and they feel a benefiting from it, then, you know, good for them. That's fine. But, you know, please don't go, if you want to do it, please don't go preaching to other people this is what you should do, because you're telling them to invite something into your life that they can't explain themselves. So I felt I had to say that. But sure, if you feel you're benefiting from it, then by all means keep doing what you're doing. Just don't ask me to do it, and don't impose it on me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't generally have you were like saying a favourite person. I don't have a person. I don't really get involved in that side of things in regards to these, people that are saying this or saying that. It's their own personal views, but I don't really follow anyone. I listen, but I tend to, observe.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing, Michael, because if you listen to everyone, and at the end of it, make your own mind up, and once you have these little heroes, this person's right, and that other person's wrong. Who knows?
Michael, another thing for contactees, they start seeing UFOs everywhere. Do you see UFOs everywhere when you go outside?
Not really. Mine are more like, they seem to be more related to the abductions rather than seeing them in the sky. But I'm not really a big, I suppose with contactees, a big fan of them, because, I was talking to Robert about this, and I haven't got a lot of time for contactees, to be honest with you, simply because there's a lot of, over the years, there's not any contactees to date that I know of that have had any of the information that's been given to them by their so-called space brothers or sisters that has been come to light. It's often that I think a lot of the time they're used, and even so, a lot of the time it's you're putting yourself out there too much if you're saying that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And you've got years in between that, but then when them years are up, you often find the story changes again. To suit that, to suit that agenda. And I think again, it's also it creates a problem within our groups, within this phenomena when we're trying to research it.
Oh, we're losing them. We've lost you, Mike.
Researchers. I think it's more than on the scale of Uri Geller, being a show person and the commercialization of these subjects. I don't like that at all. I'm very serious about our subjects. And
Yeah,
I
I
think he
think,
should be treated with a lot more respect.
yeah. Yes, you got this guy called David Wilcock and Corey Good that's really made a right mess of things, as far as I'm concerned, and they're still going strong. It's amazing how many people keep following these people and don't see that they've been caught out many, many times. And they always say, "Oh, you're government shill" and all that sort of stuff, and it's just nonsense. Especially when you talk about your own experiences and you actually are seeking disclosure and truth, and the government does know more than what they're letting know. And the vaccine push in New Zealand is just crazy. It's almost like some other agenda there. I can see why people form conspiracies about it all. And they know it doesn't even work. People still die from for some of the vaccines anyway. It makes you wonder if this maybe it's related to aliens. This whole lockdown nonsense. With the virus, who knows? Did it really come from China? Maybe they were mucking around with some alien DNA and it got out of control and went out wild.
There's nothing to suggest that, Paul. Good God, SARS.
Come on. My fantasy stories are way better than Tyler's. Come on now, come on. That's a good story. That's a good story. You can make that into a good sci-fi. Fauci knew about it all, and he sent on the alien virus to get studied, and the Chinese messed up and covered it up from there on. Wait and see this future sci-fi is coming out. I bet you'll be someone's going to get an idea from it. But anyway, we just don't know. We know that space debris comes in 50 tons a year, rocks, and also you got space junk. And I know there's microbes that have been growing on the outside of windows and space stations and stuff like that. So we just don't know what would come from outer space into our world. What of it's related to. They say it's from bats, but maybe the bats picked it up from something. Eating fruits off trees, or there's all sorts of stuff that could be. We just don't know. There's more questions than answers. But of course, we're not allowed to talk. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about this stuff because we get censored by Google even more. I've probably lost monetization actually already, but I just like to throw out these ideas because you just can't rule it out. There seems to be something bigger going on. A new world order is not so far-fetched. All this clamped down with you can't get paid if you don't have your vax, and you can't get a job, or you can't travel countries, and all this now that's sort of causing lots of social unrest, should I say. But
we've got an Adam Ambrose joining us, and he said he worked with Bud Hopkins. Okay, so Adam, did you work with him as an abductee yourself, or was it as a fellow hypnotist? A guy that worked with other abductees? Please fill us in with the details if you can. Bud was an interesting guy, wasn't he? He certainly didn't need any money because he was quite a successful artist, but he came into this subject and he had a lot of interesting cases.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quite close with John Mack as well. But
John Edward Mack, eh?
Johnny Mack, they worked closely together, but they fell out. Bud Hopkins believed there was
a difference, wasn't it? Of opinions?
The difference between them was Bud had a very negative point of view of what was happening. He believed, like Jacobs did, it was some kind of hybridization program. but where John Mack believed it was more a little bit spiritual, and it was, well, he was a bit more on the love and light side of things. It was the only conclusion he could come to. He didn't believe the beings were physical aliens. They believed there was some kind of metaphysical entities. But Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs believed they were physical beings, and they were up to no good, in a nutshell.
Not Space Brothers.
They're all interesting. All of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a shame that their lives got ended a bit too soon. Well, John's life anyway.
Yeah, David Jacobs is still alive, but he's not working anymore. He'd be in his early 80s now, I believe. Bud Hopkins has passed away. John Mack was killed in the accident in London, of course.
Yeah, he was killed in the area I went to school. In South Kensington in London. So he died in Holland Park on a crossing, didn't he? He was hit by a car, that's all. Yeah. When he was giving a lecture, wasn't he?
He was giving a lecture on
what's his name?
Lawrence of Arabia, it was.
Lawrence of Arabia, yeah, that was one of his specialised subjects and passions.
That's how he won his Pulitzer Prize.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, his work on that.
He was given a speech in London about it.
But
and he was supposed to be working on a book, wasn't he? Another book to do with the abductions.
Right, yeah, because he was only in his early 70s at the time when he died.
A very intelligent man.
Yeah, and he was still extremely lively at the time. There was plenty of good work left in him, you know. And,
yeah, he often referred, didn't he, to abductees as experiences.
Yes.
Didn't he? Rather, than like Jacobs, and was more tending towards the MELAB.
Yeah, it was more positive, and the other ones were more negative about it.
No, I don't know. No. David Jacobs, but I don't think he ever thought of military abductions as.
Jacobs did, I think.
Did he really? Yeah, the only theories I've known from him were basically that this is a long-term hybridization program. It only began, as far as Jacobs is concerned, at the latest in the 1930s. Yeah. And he was worried about the future of the human race. My lab, that whole thing, I personally struggle with it. I don't understand why the military would want to abduct members of the public. I could see how they could possibly pull it off with a combination of drugs, but it would have to be some elite part of the military that was doing this. And you have to ask the question: okay, if it was some foreign military general, you could understand why they might want to kidnap him and drive him mad, thinking he was full of aliens. But members of the public, and my God, what if it went wrong? It'd only have to go wrong once, and the whole thing would be exposed, and it'd be the biggest stink from hell. I think that whole MyLab stuff is, personally, I think it's nonsense.
The only trouble with that is, Rob, is that just the information with was it Corey Good, isn't it? And that coming out like that tends to be it's not very good for the subject.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
I mean, one of the things I thought was odd about Corey Good is that he's like saying he's like a whistleblower for the secret space program and so forth. But then I remember seeing one of his YouTube videos where he's got he's panicking, he's running out of his house, and he's like saying, "Oh my God, I've got a Chinook flying above my house." But if you're in the military or you had military contacts and you have these type of experiences, a Chinook flying over your house very low is not going to be something that's going to really panic you. And, you know, like saying, why is this flying over my house? Well, you know, probably because you're on YouTube talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I have Chinooks flying over my house almost every night. It's so close you can see the pilots. But, you know, I don't consider them to be anything other than the fact that there's a air base close by and they're doing training exercises.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, not every military aircraft flying over your house, even if you're an abductee, is coming to take you away.
Exactly.
So you got to, you know, you got to narrow it down and be sensible about it.
Adam replied to you on the side chat there, Robert. Anyway.
Okay, let's have a look. I'll switch on. Okay, I met them 5 times and explored some of my abduction memories. So you're an abductee. Okay. Okay, so you had an implant, right?
Do they know where that is?
Lifelong abductee.
Do they know where that is, Rob?
Where are you from, Adam? Please. I'm presuming. Okay, he's done some work with. I've done some interviews. Linda Moulton Howe. Just read my letter about her, about my Nordic experiences on a live stream last Wednesday. But if obviously if Adam worked with John Mack, then he's almost certainly American. But I don't know where his abductions occurred. Yeah. Maybe he'll tell us.
It is a shame though that, you know, these you know, like Bud Hopkins and John Edmund Mack, that they've passed really, because they're very much old school. You know, I know that John come into it differently to, you know, like introduced, wasn't it, by Bud, to look at some of his case files. Wasn't that? Yeah. Was that right, Rob?
Yeah.
And he was a bit sceptical at first, wasn't he?
He was super skeptical.
But sometimes that's a good thing, though. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's good to be, you know. It's good to have that as well.
John Mack had a lot of pushback after he decided to look into this and started speaking about it quite openly. I mean, he represented Harvard. I mean, that's one of the most famed university institutions on the planet.
But he was harassed, wasn't he, as well, by his peers?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. As far as they're concerned, he'd thrown them all under the bus.
But he had courage to do that. He was
brave
to do that. And, you know, I think he did help a lot of people along the way. And, you know, that's one of the important points as well, to help along the way as best you can.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, did you ever come across, was it Tony Dodd? Robert?
Yeah.
Did you ever speak to him? I
never spoke to him.
He was a good investigator, wasn't he? Ex-copper.
He got involved with a couple of really dodgy cases, though. Especially there was one where he got the wool pulled over his eyes. It was at the Kalahari Desert UFO crash. He absolutely got mugged on that one. And he wrote a book on it as well. So he kind of lost favour with the more serious side of ufology after that one. But some of his early work in the UK on abductions and cattle mutilations as well was really good. But that's the trouble. Anyone can get mugged. Some whistleblower comes to you, presents you with a few documents. Look, I'm this guy and I seen this happen. And then all of a sudden you think, you know, you've got the keys to the universe. You found the real smoking gun, and he went with it. Unfortunately, after it should have been fairly obvious, this guy was telling them lies, and he wasn't who he said he was. He still went with these really dodgy documents. Look it up. It's a shame, but Stanton Friedman done the same thing. Do you know what I mean? he ran with the MJ12 papers, which turned out to be a complete load of bunk. And and he wasn't an easy guy to fool, you know.
Yeah, they probably try and do it to everybody that's sort of got credibility and sort of making
absolutely. The whole thing is take their credibility away.
Yeah,
and it works. Disinformation has done so much damage.
Yeah,
that's why you got to be really discerning. But also, you should, especially with a copper, stick to their intuition. And if you feel something's not off, even a little bit, don't go with it.
Yeah.
I was surprised though that Tony done that, because being an ex-copper and everything, he's with his investigative abilities. He would normally quite a big error to make, really.
Another thing there is he may be taking the case so far that he committed to it so much before he realised that maybe he made a mistake. It was kind of too late, so he ended up defending his position rather than putting his hands up and saying, which it takes a hell of a lot to put your hands up and say, look, I've spent 5 years wasting the time of being mugged.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You can always update and admit you've gone wrong, because the information that you're given was wrong later on. And it has been one or two people that done that. Peter Robbins is one of them.
Peter Robbins, then Kevin Randall even turned round and said that he doesn't think the Roswell case was as robust as it once was. He also denied abductions altogether. Kevin Randall, he said flat out, "It's
he did,
BS. It's all night paralysis." Fair play. He changed his mind. Said, "Okay, obviously there's something to it." The last time I heard him speak on a podcast about 2 years ago, he was back with night paralyses again.
Oh no.
And another thing, he thinks he's made mistakes. Kevin Randall, as good as he is, everyone makes mistakes. It's all part of it. Cattle mutilations. He thinks it's all predators.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't think he's really looked into it. That's the problem. Like, it's never been his thing. With Kevin Randall, if you've got a document to show him, he's happy. Yeah, he's really good with witnesses. Really good at checking the background. But maybe if you give him something esoteric, like an abduction scenario that he can't nail down, he doesn't like it. So he tries to explain it away as best he can.
Yeah, but in a situation like that, you should just step away. If it's not your field of endeavour, then, step away and just carry on with what you know. Because otherwise you're just digging a hole for yourself and you're really going to look stupid.
Which is what happened.
Well, you will,
said, Michael.
Because obviously if you're saying one thing and it's clearly not that, and you're, the more stupidity that's coming out of your mouth, just stop. Step back and do your own thing, and let other people research those fields.
Just follow the evidence and stay in the middle ground if you can. So you don't influence your decision.
Bottom line on that, at least he had the guts to turn around and say, "Yeah, look, I probably made a mistake here."
Yeah.
At least he had that about him.
Yeah, well, that's to be commended if you can do that, because it's difficult to do that, isn't it? When it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Because him and Stanton Stanton used to use that against Kevin Randall, because they were kind of rivals on the circuit, if you like. Should I call it the circus? You got these people going out and doing their lectures, and Yeah, and that's how they make their money. So Stanton used to throw it back in Randall's face. He used to say, "Abduction denier, Kevin Randall." It was quite funny because
in the red corner.
yeah.
They're not playing by the Queensberry rules.
No,
No.
I don't think they ever did. There was no love lost between those two in the end, you know.
Well, it's sort of become a reality show then.
You know, Kevin Randall exposed a lot of people, especially with the Roswell case, that were false.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few of them as well. I was sent a video by a friend last night. He says, "What do you think of this?" It was Glenn Dennis. He was the mortician at Roswell at the time of the incident. And he made up this story about a nurse. The nurse, he claimed, was called Naomi Self. And the nurse told him about how she was involved in the autopsy on one of these alien creatures that was brought in. Now, turned out that he'd made the name up, and the actual nurse was a real nurse, but she wasn't the friend of Glenn Dennis. She was a friend of one of his colleagues that worked at the mortuary. And by the time the real name came out, this woman had passed away. So now that whole thing has been lost.
Yep.
It's gone.
Yep.
So what Glenn Dennis did was try to steal the story for himself. And there was Kaufman as well, who made up a complete load of trollop about his military career, faked some documents, said he'd seen the alien bodies and he hadn't. Jeez. Yeah.
Attention seeker.
Yeah. Muddies the waters, doesn't it?
It's crazy. There's just no point in that, is there, really?
So Adam there, he's having problems with his devices. Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
Join the club, man. Join the club.
Yeah. Now, Adam, I think you got a website where you were putting up videos claiming there's UFOs in the clouds. Is that the one that I'm thinking of? You're still there. Now, I've had a lot of people claim that clouds floating around, and that's very hard to accept from what evidence I've seen anyway. That the evidence they've got has not been solid enough to prove that. But whether UFOs can cloak themselves as clouds and why would they do it during broad daylight, I don't know.
Is that something you can analyse, Paul?
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff I can analyse and prove. If they're just wanting to believe that they're being followed versus actually being followed. But, yeah, from what I saw, the cloud was changing shapes and just like a normal cloud. But, yeah, it's just hard to know whether those people that see UFOs all the time are just imagining, you know, they may have had a real case as well. But when they start claiming all this stuff left, right and centre, it sort of distracts from them. And it's a bit hard to believe them after that point, you know. Especially those ones that go in the backyard and think they can cool them down. I don't think aliens can be cooled down, even if you've got an implant that's somehow able to amplify what you're saying. I think aliens come when they want to come. They're on a certain mission, a plan. They're not lapdogs. So I don't believe this Dr. Greer stuff. If that was the case, he could just go to the desert, right? He could have all the TV networks lined up, ready to film a alien being called down, or they could document all their cameras being knocked out at the same time and strange stuff happening, right? Weirdness.
It's
Which,
never going to work on that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't see
Just-
why it couldn't be if they can contact aliens to do that. I just don't believe it, And the stuff I've seen of Greece anyway has been fraudulent, you're breaking up, Michael. The stuff I've seen of Greece has been flares being lit off at out to sea and balloons and bats and shining lasers at it, stuff like that. They got these light beams. He's got these photographs that distorted, right? I'm not sure if you've seen it on my episodes where I've analysed it. One's definitely a woman in the party, where it's either been photoshopped or they've been spinning the camera around when they've been taking photographs, and it's sort of a digital artifact because of the camera way it processes with the sensor, where it's got distorted. And you can sort of unbend it and see it's a woman wearing a red jacket and all that sort of stuff. The Cupid one, some claimed it was actually a cactus bush arm, which is nonsense. I've analysed it and it's definitely looks like a Cupid. How it was done, I don't know. Whether they strung it across a wire or a very long cord from a drone way up so you don't hear it fly across the people, so they take a snapshot of it. But certainly it looks like that was a hoax. And other light effects where camera anomalies happen, where they're sort of moving the camera faster than the sensor can process and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, he's charging also people like $800 to access these images of his. Again, that's just suspect straight away. That's money making, and he's charging $2,000 a head to go on these parties. So Dr. Greer is now called Dr. Greed. You've probably heard various people around the internet are calling him. So the thing with Greer, though, he's an influencer, and he was able to get people together, right? Definitely in that respect. And he set up a database, and he got people to tell their stories and document it, and of course the government were then interested in it and get access to his database, right? Especially when it's military people. So that's why he got invited to Pentagon and all that sort of stuff, because they wanted to sweet talk him and try and get access. So yeah, I don't think he has the answers, and he certainly seems to be attacking people out there like Lou and all that sort of business. So this just makes it less credible. I think you got to listen to Lou, whether he's a disinformation agent or not. We have to see where it's going to go. Whether they release more images that are really good, may still happen. We're not just going to discount everything. Corbell's gone quiet too, hasn't he? So where's he disappeared to? So yeah, what do you think of Corbell? Do you like his movies? Because I don't. Are you there, Mike? We're breaking up still.
No, he's still with us, yeah.
I still can't hear him talking.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what I think of Jeremy Corbell and why he's gone quiet. He's either sitting on something, he's been promised something, and he's just gone. I think basically what it is, you get these people that are subject to this disinformation because the people who are putting it out, they know full well you're going to publicise it for them. You're not going to be discerning it and do any due diligence on the videos or the information that's coming out. You're just going to put it out there. Now, Corbell is just the latest in a whole series of people. Before him, they were leaking stuff to Tim McMillan. It was his turn. Then it was Carl Bell's turn. I think it might be somebody else's turn now. And yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's Ross Coulthard, because he's seeming to believe in everything these days. When he started out really, really sober, so I don't know. But if Carl Bell's got any more videos, I mean, I don't know. Maybe his turn's been this was all leading up to that UAP report, wasn't it? Which turned out to be a big nothing burger, but as we know, there was a couple of interesting points in there, but not much.
Yeah.
I mean, those leaks. No, I'll tell you what. Yeah, it would have been so easy for the DOD. There was only so many people, just a small number of people, that could have done that. It would have been so easy for them to launch an investigation and find out, and yet they didn't do anything. In fact, within 24 hours, they were confirming, yeah, that's DOD footage. Why? That their normal default position is deny. Yeah. So that is clear signs of deception as far as I'm concerned. But people look at these videos. Wow. Well, not everyone was. I mean, yeah, the more critical thinking people in the community were saying, does he honestly think this is going to fool anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't good footage, was it?
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, Mick West was having an absolute field day with it.
Yeah, and now he's on TV now. And so is Mick Schillen, as UFO calls him, because of the stupid balloon pilot thing that he released as a big deal, cool new UFO footage coming out, and it turned out to be a balloon. It's the least thing we needed in ufology.
But there's this new book now, written by, I can't remember his name, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah. But the co-author is George Knapp. Yeah, I know. I'm smelling bullshit already. I don't think I'm going to buy it because his name's on it.
Yeah.
Nah, not after the stunt he pulled with Lazar. And I'm not going to go on about him again. I'm sick of the blaming man. I always get myself into trouble when I talk about him. But if it's pure like it, if George Knapp's name's on it, I'm not going to follow it. And even Luis Elizondo, when he was asked about the book, he said, "That's the author. I didn't write it." No comments.
Speaking of,
so I respect the author, but it's not my book. If you want to know what I think of it, he wouldn't answer that question. He just said, contact him. So I think there was a little clue in there.
Yeah, looks like my eyesight's gone.
Yeah, I'll search for it. I can do it a bit quicker.
Yeah, I was looking at Lou remote viewing stuff. It
was actually
well.
It's been posted everywhere recently about that. It's called.
I think my sugar levels are dropping because my eyesight's failing now. We normally wrap up about now too, though. I know we could talk for hours on this sort of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, you find your link and post it if you want. Is it Sunday?
Oh, damn it, it's a YouTube video.
I think he's also written to the DAD to get them to admit that he did work for him as well at the moment, because there's a lot of stuff about that as well to try and discredit him. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, the name of the author is James T. Lagatsky, and Colin A. Kelleher, and also George Knapp. So Colin Kelleher, he was in the intelligence community, I believe. I don't know much about it, but it's available to buy now. It's around £15 on paperback. Yep, it's available now. You don't have to pre-book. And it's looking into the activities of ORSAP, which was like a sister program to ATEP.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Could be some good stuff in there. Could be some misleading stuff. It's up to us to...
We know it well.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the stuff on remote viewing is. It's not coming up in searches. But that's meant to be the latest hoo-ha, that Lou is actually able to remote view, apparently. He's been trained to be a remote viewer. Kind of sounds like Dolan and his wife, you know. So what next is going to come out?
I don't think he personally was involved in anything like that, you know. He has said he was involved on the program that
as an advisor.
I just think, I don't know. I think he was involved in a remote viewing program, but I don't think he was ever a remote viewer himself. That's what I mean. So I don't know where this accusation's come from. I'm fairly sure it's groundless.
And what was it? They were remote viewing exactly? Did you say?
Here's a Reddit.
It's why you give an example, just a set of coordinates, and from those coordinates you try and build a picture of what's actually happening at those coordinates, whether it be buildings or bases on the moon or
Lou Elizondo remote viewing capabilities had saved his life and the life of his men in Afghanistan. How about that? Sorry, this post has been removed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that. I think it's bullshit. Where did it appear? Was that Reddit or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Pinch of salt.
So why has the post been removed, though?
Was it removed by the person who posted it? Or
most of the stuff that goes up on Reddit is posted anonymously, and anything that's posted anonymously you've got to be really careful of.
So when did that come
there's no way to check the facts.
It's got a lot of posts to it. Come out 5 days ago. I know Goofon did talk about it. I'll post a link to it on the side. People can have a look if they want. I don't know. It may be some trying to discredit him again, you see?
Yeah.
An intelligence op.
I might have to go to the toilet. I'll leave these guys to talk if you want.
Yeah, sure, man.
I need to get a sweet drink too because my sugar levels are dropping. We can still keep talking as long as you want to, but if you want to wrap up, just let me know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to soon. I'm starving.
Oh, right,
I
so there you
understand.
go. Well, do you want to wrap
But
up now then? Then I'll just go close down and process this video. I know a lot of people out there, truck drivers that follow us, like the long discussions that we have. They enjoy it. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to end now or keep on going for another half an hour or whatever. We're coming up to 3 hours now. You want to get to bed though, you guys, or you gonna? You can't be abducted if you're on the live stream, can you? Maybe that would be like make Fox News if you suddenly disappeared, Michael, in front of our camera here.
Might be. There's always a first time, Paul.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I'll just come back in a minute then. Let you talk for a wee while.
yeah, sure. Well, anyway, thanks, Michael, for coming on tonight. It was great help.
Yeah, thanks, Robert, and Paul as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there was other things that have been in that long, account of yours. I mean, you could probably talk for half an hour on what's happened in the last week or so.
Yeah, there's
still stuff going on, but there's no way you can fit it all in.
I would imagine there's a lot of listeners that are, as we're saying, are abductees or maybe having these experiences, and despite all the media around it, it's good to connect with others that are having the same thing.
There were certain parts of your story that quite connected, that rang true with me and some of my own experiences. I mean, there'd been nothing like yours at all. I had a couple of supernatural type experiences, one at 15, another one at 24. I had my UFO sighting in the late 90s, which should have made me around about 30. Funny thing is, I remember the month, but I don't remember the year of that UFO sighting.
Well, you have marker memories, that are emotionally charged. You never forget them. They say that over the years, as the years go on, you lose that ability to remember as and where these things happen. But with mine, as I detail in my book, it's very rich in my mind still, even from a 4-year-old child. It's never changed or deviated away from its path. It's always has been the way I experienced, this type of phenomena. But that said, there are other instances that I've had where there's screen memories, and as we were saying before, there are breaks in the memory.
Yeah.
So for that, you need further investigation really into that, rather than speculate what it could and could not be. Or rather gather the facts and then present something from that.
But what you're doing by writing everything down as it happens is definitely the right thing to do, because there's definitely fallibility in memories. I remember I began a relationship with this girl, and she was quite interested in the supernatural side of things, and I told her about an experience I'd had on Holyhead Breakwater with these two guys that had just looked from a different century, at least a century earlier. They were carrying oil lamps rather than pressure lamps, and we got really close to them before they vanished. And well, she said, "Well, will you take me to the spot?" I says, "Yeah, of course we can drive there. We can drive along the breakwater." And we did. And when I got there, I realised it wasn't. My memories had definitely failed me a little bit. Things weren't quite in the same places where I had imagined them to be. The alcove that disappeared in was maybe 20 yards down further away than what I actually believed it to be in my personal memory, and I was quite taken back by that. Luckily for me, there was two of us, and yeah, so I was grateful for that there was somebody that's always there to back up. We both seen the same thing at the same time. Like when I was speaking to that witness on Friday when I went to Bangor, some of the stuff he was telling me, it was from quite a long time ago. But fortunately for me, you'd written it all down, your dates and everything. And that's a blessing, because I can look for other cases in that area.
Yeah, of course.
At the same time, that happens at the same time. I may get lucky, find something, I may not.
Well, that's also like what you're saying. In these specific window areas where it happens, you can ask if there's any other witnesses to that could come forward, and to link cases up to verify the witness statement.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy to do though. You'd have to put, because it didn't happen in my local area. I'd have to put maybe like an ad out.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing, wasn't it? About that, how difficult it is for witnesses to come forward and the reasons why they may not want to.
Yeah.
There's quite a few reasons why people don't, and sometimes for very good reason. But as an investigator, you want to protect them as well.
Oh yeah, that's
one thing. The confidentiality is really important.
You have to be really careful about that, because if you let somebody down, you're kind of ruined. Then people just aren't going to trust you again.
No, well, that's what it is, isn't it? The trust is a big thing. So sometimes you have to build that trust over a period of time. But it's worth it, though.
It's kind of interesting, really, that I put that ad in the paper, and I've had very little in the way of response. I suppose they could easily Google my name, and it's not going to come up, because I'm not particularly well known. If I was somebody well known and connected to an organisation, they might be far more willing to come forward.
Don't know, maybe.
I think that's a possibility,
Yes, I guess it depends, really. There's a lot going on with some of these organisations now that I think would put people off.
I'm kind of extremely wary about being a part of any organisation, to be honest, because I've seen over the years some of the handling of certain cases. Let's just say I've been extremely disappointed in how amateur it's been. I've seen a complete lack of critical thinking. I don't want to be too harsh on MUFON, but like MUFON is, MUFON has shot itself in the foot time after time. I'm not sure that. I was actually thinking of maybe being a field investigator at one time, and take their course and all that. But there was like stuff going on. You look at a lot of MUFON reports now, and you can't get to the bottom of the case, because you have to be a member of MUFON to see that the details of the case. It's wrong. Ufology really shouldn't be for sale. That's my bottom line on it. Yeah. Sure, Paul.
Yes, I agree. It's got to be free if you want people to trust you.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, that's
I
really
just had to
important.
I just had to get a drink and a cookie.
Okay.
How are you, Paul? You right?
Yeah, the sugar levels can drop pretty quick. And
Yeah, can't they?
your eyesight goes first, and then you get the shivers.
Yeah, it's important that you you know, bring your levels up.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
How you doing, Rob? You right?
Yes, I was just looking at some of the side chat here.
Yeah.
Anything
Something going on.
interesting?
Yeah, Adam was saying, yeah, I saw a purple ball of light hovering over my crib so I don't know, would that be as a child, Adam?
A crib
You
would
know
have to be.
those orbs of lights that can vary in size from the size of a golf ball up to maybe the size of a small car. I've learned quite a lot over the last 12 months because I've talked to people who've done far more research into that kind of thing than I have, you know. And there's one guy on my group. He used to work with Kufos, Donald Johnson, and he's fairly convinced that, you know, according to the research that was done at the time, that these things are actually solid balls of consciousness, as he put it. And he's not. I don't suppose he's a young man anymore. I'd say Donald Johnson would have to be in the 70s. But where did that research come from? Now, it seems to me he worked with, either as an understudy or worked with Hynek at some level. He also created a database called UFO Cat. And I don't think he's just saying that willy-nilly off the top of his head.
This sounds more like Jack Valet, actually.
And he also said that they were usually connected to a larger craft in the vicinity. And I thought about it, you know, and it does make sense.
Well, you can say it's energy. Energy under intelligent control. Apart from that, we don't really know.
No, we don't. But yeah, I was going to send you that PDF file that I got from a friend, but it was shared on the group, you see, and the group is a private group. So for me to share the file on here, I thought twice about that because what I'll do, I'll have to ask his permission first to see if I can share it, and we can go through what this scientist had to say. That he actually got in contact with my friend, yeah.
So he was 7 years old, he's saying here. You do sense when something's going to happen particular nights, I think.
Yeah, they knew. Yeah, they knew. I knew the Greys were coming.
That's true, though. You do. There's always a sense of dread. There is a feeling. What
I've heard it so many times before.
That's right. It accompanies an abduction. You know, it's when I was on the show before, Robert. You know, I spoke briefly about that, and you know, I speak more about that, I guess, in volume 2 of my second book. When I begin to write the second one, there's so much fear associated with it as well, and you know, as I said, you the way you articulate things in your head, and you know, you're putting things up against the door. You don't want them to come in, but of course they can come through the door, so through the ceilings even, or through the windows. But in your head, you're reasoning it in that way, that if I do this or if I do that, that will stop it, but it doesn't. You know, and when they come for you and they take you. and you can't do a sod or thing about it at the time.
Yep.
You know, lots of people try different things, and you know, over the years. But I think
they reckon if you call on Jesus, but I somehow don't think that's going to work for every case.
You know, I say a lot about that, but I won't here.
But I think that's more the paranormal side of things, maybe. I think that the power doesn't come from Jesus; it comes from within you, and certain people it's attracted to as well. Maybe because they got the right brain function or the neurons to be able to notice it. I think a lot of debunkers actually don't have the brain chemistry to actually have an experience, and that's why maybe this. Yeah.
When you have you know researchers, it's good to be subjective. It's good to sometimes have somebody on a team that's like that. But the only problem with that is you know it's good to have a healthy skepticism, and it keeps you basically you know looking in the right directions, rather than saying that everything you see in the sky is necessary. You know, is something out of this world when it could be just something you know every day. But when you get someone who's debunking it all the time, they need to step away then, because you know their views and their opinions actually are more dangerous. I mean, you know, it's when you got somebody when you got people that are abductees and they do come forward and they have the courage to come forward to speak for the first time. You know, when you got somebody who's debunking it in that way, or you know, basically speaking down to them, and that's not very helpful, because it does all that does is sets in place you know, this feeling of you know you're being attacked.
Still Mick West is probably one of the politest debunkers out there, to say the truth.
Well, I wasn't really speaking about that person, but in general.
So I think he would not laugh or mock people that believe in stuff, because he doesn't. Because you don't know if they've got a mental problem, would be his opinion, and that's not to mock them, because they might be suicidal and all that sort of business. But sometimes maybe a skeptic scares off the paranormal as well. Who knows? I don't know. It's more questions than answers. But the only way is to maybe some ghost hunter team that can get EVPs and hear ghost footsteps upstairs, drag him along and make sure he experiences it for himself and tries to explain it.
Well, you're seeing more now of that, aren't you? You're seeing much more of the paranormal investigators beginning to focus a lot now on our particular subjects, you know, looking for the links, because there do appear to be links with both of the phenomena. Maybe you know they'll discover things within their own research fields that could help them. Explain some of the you know some of the phenomena that they have.
Well, the thing is, people that see stuff may not actually see it with the eyes. It might actually be influenced by the brain cells. It might be some EMF or radio transmission, whether it's natural or alien, broadcast into your head, and so you see what they want you to see, or whatever, or you see a ghost or whatever. But it may be certain people are able to detect that through their brains better than others, but we are doing experiments on all that sort of stuff and get to know more about how the brain works. You know, it's only going to get better and better. But I will probably cover more on that in live shows. I
mean, what's interesting is in the research of, again, you know, why specific people are abducted and while other people are not. But also when you're very much, for instance, you could bring someone along with you, say for instance in a paranormal research group. and over a period of time, if they're if they're doing those types of investigations, it'll only be a matter of time before that person will experience something themselves. Because in some ways, it becomes part of your, it's connected to you, it's attracted to you then, because you're showing an interest. And it's the same, I think, also, not always you have to be an abductee to experience this type of phenomena. Again, it's like, if you're out in the field day in, day out, at some point you'll see something in the sky, or, and you'll have a personal experience.
What city were you in again? I forgot. Would bring up the map.
I'm in the southwest of England, which is in Somerset, but originally I'm from London. I was born in London.
Somerset, is it how you spell it?
I was born in the Whitechapel Hospital, now the Royal London Hospital, which is where the remains of the Elephant Man are. Where Michael Jackson, when he wanted to buy them, and they told him no way, because they're used still for medical.
So that's in London, right? London.
No, Somerset's a county on the southwest coast.
Yeah, of England.
That's on the west. Is that
you're on the southeast coast there. You need to go across.
Somerset House, near a river. Okay, let's go back out.
No, Somerset House is different, but you need to go down to the coast on the south part, and then go west.
Over this way.
There you go.
Just zoom in. I'm on the roof with a flag.
All right, there you go.
Waving Royal Britannia.
So how come it didn't come up in the search then?
Because you spelled it with a U. It's Somerset.
Somerset. Well, I thought it corrected it. That's why. Somerset.
No, Somerset House is you search for Somerset House. That's a building that's in London.
Where have we got now? Somerset. We've got another church. Where's the arrow gone? Where's the arrow? Oh, there it is. It's that whole region
Just
there.
look for the flag. Come on.
So you're just below where Robert is. He's up here.
Jesus Christ, I'm well away from. That's about a 5-hour drive, Paul, from mine.
Yeah. You said you weren't near the coast, though. Did you? You say you're more inland there. Okay. So that gives an idea now where you are to people that's watching from USA. It looks like a really greeny place. A lot of.
It's stunning. Stunning place.
A lot of forests and green there. Does it rain a lot? Yeah, of course it does. It's UK.
It's the UK. We're famous for the rain.
That looks like a place where aliens would visit, though, doesn't it?
If you come here, make sure you bring umbrella. There, you can pour.
No, look at that farmland there.
The dog is opening doors again.
Yes, that's good that we got a lot of farmland there. Someone's got to be making food for the country, right? What's that place down here? So is there any old castles around there? Doesn't look like a castle.
Yeah, there are a few. There are a few about here and there.
Here we go. What's that say there? Water now Park. Oh, yeah, so it looks like it's a good place for UFOs to land anywhere there, doesn't it? Where's the big cities, though? It must be here somewhere. Must be more over this way. Where's all the big buildings and stuff? Must be some. Oh, here we go. We found some. There's a big build-up. So, and there's a big paddock between. So that would be an ideal place for definitely aliens to drop down here. Look, they even got trees. They even got trees that look like UFOs, right? And look, you got house roofs there. What's that there? Don't know what that is. Looks like a boat. Looks like a boat in a trailer. Yes. Anyway. Was there anything else we needed to check on his story? Or add to his story, I mean. Where's those two guys gone? Did you go toilet, Michael?
No, I was actually putting a charge on my device.
Oh, right. Mine's plugged into the wall all the time.
Yeah. So,
we just had the big storm come through here. Looks like it's going to rain off and on all day or all night now, probably. Yeah, I feel a bit better now. The coffee with some sugar kicked in.
yeah, you can tell by your voice your energy levels are going up.
Yeah, I had the vax last Monday, and all I could do was sleep. It's just ridiculous. I could stay awake for 2 hours and then drift off to sleep again, and I couldn't get anything done on computer. But I managed to pull off a few shows there. Alien. I suppose Robert's gone to the toilet, has he?
Robert's back.
Can't you see me?
No,
He's invisible.
You're quiet.
Robert, you're invisible.
That's a good sign.
So yeah, welcome any new people out there to the Out There channel. Hope you enjoyed what we've been doing in the last 3 hours anyway. And there was a few latecomers. You might want to scroll back to the beginning some stage. Yeah, I'm not too sure if there's anything else we need to add to his story before we wrap up here. I thought just look at the map. That's done now. Any other UFO topic you want to talk about on live? Go ahead. We could have a look over UFO interest, what he's been posting up, I suppose. See what's he does a lot of the magazines and social groups, UFO stuff, and I suppose TikTok is the latest new one that has a lot of rubbish being posted around. So what's this one? A man from Plymouth said he was left baffled after spotting a strange bright object in the sky. UFO, nope, it's a police drone. Okay, let's have a look.
Oh, no.
So there you go. Cops have got drones now too.
What's they have? I see it all the time. We've only got one, I think.
They got thermal on it, and they can tell you if you're breaking the lockdown rules. So if you got a whole party going, they can see. They can see all the heated bodies in the house. This might be one such raid. We found some more lawbreakers in Wells. Robert Farmer, I think his name is.
Yeah, got cannabis in the loft.
Who's that on the roof of the flag, they're saying?
What you got there, Robert? You found what in the loft?
The cannabis that's growing in my loft.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I missed that.
Just off the heat signature, doesn't it? With all the lighting that's going on, there's a lot of people being caught like that.
Here we
Not
go
me,
again.
but,
Some hoaxers
Yeah,
are sharing
well,
this video as a bright light UFO filmed by commercial airline pilots. Nope. It was a Atlas V rocket. Oh, you remember that one too, don't you, Robert? By NASA's InSight mission. Mars on May the 5th, 2018. And
right.
it's some pilot filming the rocket launch. If it'll play. Oh, a bit of error. Wow, look at that. That's going upwards. So they saw it below the cloud level going through the clouds. So that's quite cool.
Oh my god!
I'm surprised they're allowed to fly that close to the rocket launch, though. But yeah, that's going around. Someone's saying it's a UFO. What else we
Well,
got?
listen, Paul. I need to get off now, my friend. I do need food badly.
That's why I snuck off
two-
and got a coffee and biscuit.
yeah. I'm not doing that. You two can be on for a little while if you want.
We'll just go through these videos and then I'll wrap up, I suppose.
Well, I'll get off now because I really am absolutely starving. I should have had more. All I had was 2 slices of pizza before I started, and that was now over 4 hours ago.
Yeah,
I better get off as well. I've got writing to do.
Yeah, we'll wrap
okay,
up. We'll wrap up in a minute. Let's just have a look at this
Okay.
last one then. Lens flare. Let's have a look. Do we see lens flare? I can see 2 bright lights here.
You know how I hate these debunks. Most of them are just absolute nonsense videos.
Alright, it's got an insert video here. Well, someone's putting it up as UFOs up here, but obviously you can't see it because it's lens flare. Anyway, I suppose we wrap up on that. And it looks like the big storm's here. It's raining hard again. Oh well, thanks for joining us, Michael. You can join us again if you want to. If you want to just sit in and watch.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. And
well, not just sit and watch. Obviously, I'm sure Michael will be happy to come on another Sunday.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, thanks.
I'm not really sure that he's going to be interested in what you do in the week. If he is, that's cool with me because I won't be around in the week.
I can listen in, can I, and chat with you?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the rain's getting louder. I don't know if you can hear it. So we'll just click off the end credits here then, and
okay.
I'll upload this, process it, upload it in the next few hours, because it takes a bit of time to do all that. And
so you'll get a lot more coverage on. Oh God, what's the other place where you upload it to, Paul? It always gets a lot more views on there.
I got my main ones in the pinned comment at the top there. BitChute and Rumble, and a crazy site called Brand New Tube seems to have a lot of views on there. So we'll see how they like this one. There's a lot of naysayers saying that aliens are demons and angels and all this sort of stuff, or they don't, or it's our imagination, or or it's black ops. So you can get some really interesting comments on Brand New Tube. But next Sunday, I'm not too sure what's happening, but I've got a belated barbecue birthday thing going. So whether we do an earlier show next Sunday or cancel it, I'm not too sure at this stage, but we'll let you know. Anyway, we'll do the end credits thing.
Yeah, well, I'll be in touch. We can always do a Monday or something.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Sometimes you have visitors.
Yeah.
Good night, people, and be careful on the roads. Don't end up like a John Mack. And Robert, you can go and cook your dinner and share it with the dog.
Yeah, Michael, thank you so much.
Yeah,
you
Take care, my friend. And I'll speak to you soon anyway.
Yeah, thank you,
both soon.
See you later.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, see you guys.
Bye, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Bye.
Bye. And thanks to the side chatters and being civil and not trolling and just being generally nice. We do get some really bad stuff sometimes. And Robert, I'll talk to you on Discord or whatever. Where's my button disappeared to?